DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's show for DJ Event Planner, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, and the DJNTV Insiders. Okay, we're live here, Scott. So you just we can get that hooked up here, and as we're live.
Okay.
Hey, gang, sorry about the issue. We had a crash. We had a internet crash, unfortunately. So we have to start a whole new player, and that means that I'm going to be getting. I've got to reset the link. Yes. Be on with us in just a second here as we're kind of getting things fixed. This is part of doing live shows. You are at the complete whim of YouTube, and it looks like YouTube's maybe being just a little sketchy. So some of you might be seeing actually a better version of the show out on Facebook. It's just an unfortunate glitch there. So yes, Scott, hey, I'm seeing a big, different piece of the puzzle.
Okay, good.
Favor,
we're in
by
the
the way,
right
ladies
place.
and gentlemen.
And we'll cross our fingers that the audio comes through, and if not, then I will just pretend and explain as we go through the process.
You're going to sing the audio.
Thank you so much, John.
Yeah, take it away, my friend.
All right, excellent. So I've got this concept that I'd like to share with everybody tonight that I refer to being the best DJ, or being a better DJ, or perhaps a different DJ. And that concept simply is the idea that everyone claims to be the best, or that they're better than the rest. And I simply prefer to describe what it is that I do as different. And by focusing on what I do and what I bring to the party that is different than what most other DJs, entertainers, bring to the party, that allows me to distinguish myself from everyone else without necessarily anybody else down. As a matter of fact, while everybody else is focusing on their equipment and their uplighting, I simply prefer to and continue to attract customers who are looking for what I do that is actually different. And part of that thing that is different is what I refer to as video projection, and taking what you can put on the screen and turning it into entertainment that, again, makes you different than all the others that are just doing, shall we say, a video screen. But instead, we're going to entertain them. This is what I mean by the video screen. I can't tell you how many times people just set it up on the dance floor, interrupting the party so that they can show the montage. And then when the montage is over, they take the screen away, and then they try to restart the party. And my perspective is very different. I like to have a really big screen so that Grandma and Grandpa, whether they're sitting at the table next to the screen or way, way, way in the back, that they get to see what's on the screen. And instead of setting it up and then tearing it down and then getting back to the party, it's up all night long. And because it's up all night long, it allows me to do things that are different than what most DJs do. This is a simple promo that I put together that illustrates what I'm talking about. The idea that you can take your iPhone or whatever camera tool that you have, most have in your phone, and you could snap some candid pictures.
Yeah.
You do not have to be a photographer. This is about being, just providing entertainment. These snaps that you're seeing here are a combination of what the bride and groom gave me in advance of the wedding, some pictures that the photographer gave me from their photo shoot, their engagement shots, and then I included, in addition to that, some pictures that I took that day at the ceremony. And then I put it all together in a little montage so that when they share their first dance together, these pictures tell the story of who they are and how they fell in love. And it's all in one nice little neat package that we refer to as pictures of you and your first dance on your wedding day. And it's a great way to entertain the audience. But sometimes the audience is not everybody that they want to have there. Probably even more now with this virus thing going on. But the bottom line is that there are unique ways that you can get people to the wedding without necessarily having them be there. Mm-hmm. Or you might want to do something fun like record the dad's voice. Now, this is something that we did truly on the fly, on the day of the wedding. I already had his voice drop that he just put on my voicemail. And so I had it saved as an MP3 file, and then I turned around and was able to grab pictures from the day of the wedding.
Mary, the only time I've ever cried tears of joy was the day you were born, the first time I saw you.
Nice.
Watching you grow up, I just wanted to grab the hands of time and plant my feet firmly in the ground, just to make it last even a little bit longer. You always say you're not very good at math, but somehow you managed to give me a lifetime of memories in only 22 years. My wish for you and Brooks is that someday you'll have a daughter of your own, the kind of daughter that brings tears to your eyes the first time you see her. A daughter whose blind faith and unconditional love make you want to be the best parent you ever could be. I hope you have a daughter who recognizes the absolute best churros in the world are the ones at Disneyland. A daughter who can play the recorder in any key and still make it sound exactly like a wounded animal. A daughter who looks at the world with the kind of wide-eyed innocence you swore never existed. I hope you have the kind of daughter who can somehow magically give you a lifetime of memories in only 22 years.
And minus the, caption that is my promo there, mm-hmm. We play this as an introduction for the daddy-daughter dance. We could do something similar for a mother-son dance or any other special dance, including, their first dance. The idea here is that it's not complicated. I mean, if you want to go to the sophistication of setting up your mic and interviewing them, all of that, you can. But I'm going to tell you, this particular voice drop was left on my voicemail that I saved as an MP3. They were sending me pictures day of the wedding, and I was able to just time them together in a PowerPoint, save it as a video, and then drop it right there that night for their celebration.
Nice.
So, again, some people would say that's a little crazy, but for me, it's all about creating entertainment and using that screen in a way that most other DJs are not. As I mentioned earlier about getting people to the wedding or to the event when they can't actually be there, this is Ron and Aaron who couldn't attend a recent retirement party.
Hey, Dan, it's Ron and Aaron coming from Bemis Point, New York. We're just here to wish you a happy retirement. Wish we could be with you, but I'll see you in about 2 weeks.
See you soon, Dan. Congratulations.
We love you.
Hey, Dan.
We're back.
We just miss you so much. We wanted to say congratulations one more time. Can't wait to see you.
We love you, and we'll see you soon. Take care,
Bye.
bro.
So this particular couple, they were so excited about this idea of saying something that they actually sent me 2 different videos. And once again, it was not complicated. All they did was they held up their, smartphone and recorded a message. Mm-hmm. I then used that video with a couple of PowerPoint slides, saved it as a whole video incomplete, and then shared it just like that.
Nice.
Now thank you. This brother and sister-in-law did very similar also for the retirement party, but they got a little bit crazier about the production.
Hey, Dan, sorry you couldn't make it to your retirement party tonight, but as your big brother
and your favorite sister-in-law, your only sister-in-law,
we thought with 11 years of retirement between us, we put together a list of things to guarantee the perfect retirement for you. So, number one, wake up every morning. That's pretty much it. Wake up every morning. The rest of it, you've got no calendar, you've got no schedule, do whatever you want, okay? And as far as that bucket list people keep talking about, here's what you do with that bucket. Fill it full of ice first thing in the morning, load it up with your favorite beverages of choice, and if you start with a big enough bucket, that bucket will last you all day, all right? So, one other thing, you can never have too many Hawaiian shirts.
because every day is party day.
So have a great retirement, Dan. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I love to hear John Young in the background giving a little giggle, because that's exactly what's going to happen. You can play these during dinner, as service announcements, as entertainment. You can slip them in between the toasts and the roasts of whatever is happening at that particular event. I do these for weddings, anniversaries, class reunions, you name it. You know, you can even have the CEO of a corporate event who can't be at a particular event for whatever reason. He records some kind of a message. And by the way, people think I'm the game master and I'm all creative. Hey, listen, these people came up with this idea all on their own.
Sure.
I tell them to hang the Hawaiian shirt or to have the bucket and all that stuff. That was all them. And having good customers that are creative and allowing them to do that creativity really, really makes a difference. Next, you know, there's this really, really popular game. I know everybody knows it. It's called the shoe game.
Yes.
I know they don't like to use shoes. Let's use something instead. Pennants for their favorite team, or napkins, or beer bottles, or champagne bottle. I mean, there's all kinds of choices here. But again, if you've got the video screen that's already set up and ready to go, why not take a moment to personalize this experience for the audience? So that when you're reading the questions, if there's anybody in the back room who can't understand your accent, or you're not speaking clearly and enunciating, well, then the questions are on the screen. Now, obviously, they're not going to run by this fast. This is just a quick, show you how this works. And where the Mr. and Mrs. is sitting here, I usually drop in their picture, something that I snapped that day of them at the head table, or their sweetheart table. And where it says, who do after I do, then I'm going to add their names, Tom and Sally, or whatever the bride and groom's names are, so that the whole experience is personalized and it gives them something to look at. And in the bottom, it's automatic. Whatever the day is, it fills in the date of their celebration. So in this particular case, I made the video on a Monday, so it says the wedding day was on Monday. But whatever the circumstances are, these are great ways to use the screen to entertain in a way that most DJs are not, or most entertainers are not. Thank you, John. I appreciate the vote of confidence there.
Nice. I like that idea.
Thank you. The next thing I like to do with the screen, and sometimes these things are interactive, meaning that I'm actually the MC and I'm engaging the audience and I'm playing with them. And other times they're just, it's in the background. It's just entertaining them and engaging them, getting them to laugh and sigh and cry and play without you ever having to say a word or even interrupting their social atmosphere, which is really important for the millennials. So this is what I refer to as wedding scramble. And by the way, wedding scramble, you can fill in the blank. So if it's not a wedding, if it's birthday, or if it's for Tony's celebration, it's Tony scramble. And then you just have a series of words that relate to whatever the occasion is that they're celebrating. Now, this particular video, again, is doing a countdown, 3, 2, 1, but it's just PowerPoint. And if you want a copy of it, you'll get my email address at the end. I'm happy to send you a copy of any of this stuff that you see. But you can do this without the 3, 2, 1, and instead it'll stop. You get to engage the audience, ask them if they can figure out that is it the Wong wedding? No, it's not the Wong wedding. It's the gown she's wearing. There you go. So any way you want to do it. And this is probably one of the toughest ones. If you can get this one, certificate, you're pretty smart. I'll tell you that. Okay. So again, it's called Wedding Scramble, but it's any kind of words. Again, for class reunions, holiday parties, team building, whatever you're into.
Nice.
Now, thank you. What about Halloween? You know, it's a really simple holiday, but it's not a holiday. But you can still have fun with it. This is simply Halloween trivia, which, by the way, I've given this particular piece of video to a variety of different photo booth companies. So when they're doing a party during Halloween, and you're going to see the Thanksgiving one in a moment, then they just play this in the background on their screen that keeps the audience engaged while they're waiting in line before they can get to their props and get in front of the photo booth. So this idea of entertainment, it stretches beyond just the DJ realm. It also includes photo booths, but it can also mean that you've got some kind of screen or something set up outside in the foyer when they're doing cocktails and hors d'oeuvres, even before they come into your area. And the trivia can be about the bride and groom. It can be about, as you see here, about Halloween. Okay, moving on from Halloween, I mentioned also that there's Thanksgiving. I don't know how many of us are doing Thanksgiving parties, but why not have a little trivia? It's the same idea. If you've got your DJ set up, you've got your screen, don't just show the montage and then take it away, but instead engage them throughout the entire evening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just fun stuff here.
Yeah.
And this one I really, really like. It's a lot of fun. It's what I refer to as movie quotes. And I play this
would be
in the background during dinner or cocktails, and they are going crazy because this is not a 3, 2, 1 countdown. This is a 10, 9, 8, all the way to, 1. And it gives them a little bit more time to think, and you can hear them screaming and shouting out the name of the movie. Sometimes they get it right. Sometimes they get it wrong. And the whole thing, of course, is personalized to the client. There's a lot of Disney in this particular one because the client had a Disney theme. But there are other movies as well that are in this list. And this video that I'm showing is the short one. I think there's something like 50 different movie quotes. So this thing will go on for 15, 16 minutes before it loops again and starts repeating itself, if that's what you want to do with it.
Certainly, yeah.
Again, if you're interested, my email will be at the end of this little presentation, and I'm happy to send it to you for free. Okay, I'm moving on because I know there's a lot to share here. This thing I refer to as Google Feud, but it's only because Google provides me with the answers and the content. The truth is, it could be any kind of feud that you want. And if you think that the word feud is too much fighting and that you want something a little bit more simpatico, then by all means, name it whatever you like. I'm always in favor, no pun intended, of changing the name of a game to match the client's needs and their personality. It's so often that we get tied into, it's the shoe game. Well, stop calling it that. That's what everybody else calls it. Call it something different. And now all of a sudden, you're different. You're not what all the other DJs are doing. It may be the exact same game. You just gave it a different name. So this one is called Google Feud. And when you get this, again, it's a free download. It's done through PowerPoint. And it has a couple of issues with Mac. Sorry about that, John. But it works just perfect with PCs. Now, this is the top 5 actors, and you don't have to go in order. So in other words, if they shout out what the name is of the number 2 actor or the number 5 actor, all you do is click on the number, and it will show that answer for you automatically. And what's really cool is you don't have to be a brainiac and know all the answers because the answers are already written down for you. This is what you actually see. So the section that says the top 5 actors, you just click on the number 1 and it shows up. Or if they shout out dog, you can click on number 4 and the dog will show up. It's that simple. And of course, then it shows you what is the category that's coming up, which is the top 5. It's called Google Feud. It's simple, it's fun, and it's a great way to take your screen from just showing pictures, which is fine, by the way, to playing games and interacting with the audience that, again, is personalized. Because as you can see, this Google Feud idea, it's like any kind of trivia or any questions and answers that you're interested in. But it includes a link to Google that shows you the top 100 latest searches for a gazillion different categories. So you don't even have to search top movie search or top whatever. It already lists it for you, and the answers are right there. And then you just simply plug them into the PowerPoint, and you're done.
Nice.
And once you create these, if you're doing bars or clubs or team building, if they're bars and clubs, you see the same audience over and over again, so you have to continually update this. But if you're in a corporate atmosphere, you're not going to see the same audience over and over again. So once it's created, unless it gets stale or old, you can continue to use these over and over and over again. Fun, fun, fun for everyone.
Certainly.
Okay. Thank you. This next little thing I refer to as a CAP. It's a client appreciation party. Now, the idea here is that in addition to playing music for his client appreciation party, I wanted to offer him what I refer to as returns, rewards, and results. And part of those returns, rewards, and results were making sure that everyone felt special that night. So we took pictures of their guests as they arrived with the guy who was throwing this party, and all of his promotional gear and his logo and everything. It's everywhere. And his favorite charity is listed as to, who was helping him sponsor this event. And then I just turned around and put it all into a little video so that I could promote it as a client appreciation party for my corporate clients. But the concept here is, if you're already snapping some candid pictures, then it's simple enough to then create little videos like this that will promote your service. This is Tom, and he was the guy that was having the party. There he is shaking hands, not the one in shorts, not the glasses, but the other guy. And then Rover's, rest stop and ranch, this was the pet adoption. And they gave away some prizes, and we did a thing called a bottle auction. And then again, more swag, the hats, that had his company name on it. And we took some pictures that promoted him and his guests that were there. So everybody got to see their pictures of themselves on the screen that night. And it was a big wow and a big plus.
Sure.
From this one CAP party, I booked 6 more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So, it's a win-win. That's all I got to say is take the screen and use it to your advantage. Don't just set it up and don't just play music. Yes, music videos are cool. You can do that. That's fine. But let's do something that touches the audience, gets them to laugh, cry, sigh, play, and go away really, really happy.
Engaging the audience.
That's what I bring to the party.
Yeah, engaging that audience is so critical for, as you say, you've got six additional inquiries there from that, engaging the audience.
Hey, listen, I finished early. I was on a roll here.
You were. You did fabulous. Now, for people who want to get to contact you, what's the best way to do that besides going to your house and standing naked in your front yard, which will work, but not preferred?
Okay, so it's right there on the screen. TheGameMaster.biz is my website. There's a ton of free games listed there for free. There's additional information there. My email address is there. I have a free weekly DJ game or marketing tip that comes to you via email. Again, if you just drop me a little message and say, I want your games, or send me some of the stuff, once you share it on the Disc Jockey News TV thing, and I'll be happy to share all of that with you. And John, you and I are going to be this deep next year in Las Vegas for the Mobile Beat Show, aren't we?
We are going to be definitely, and you guys can see the promo code going across the top of the screen. Go out to DJNTV.com/promo code, sign up when the tickets are available for next year's show, and we're going to send a special promo code out to all the viewers that sign up. To see, it's over there. It's going across the screen right now. So go out there again, DJNTV.com/promo code. And then sign up for the 2020 promo code or 2021 promo code, which we'll be sending out here in just a few days. Scott, we got to wrap up. Thank you much for being on, and love some of those ideas. I use a screen, but you had a couple of ideas that I'm going to borrow. Yeah, that's it.
Confess, you're going to steal my ideas, and I'm happy that you do.
That we are. So, gang, we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. We've got Umang and Lou are going to be up with talking a little bit about what's been going on in the industry here in the last few days. Once again, Scott, thanks for being with me.
Thanks, John.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's show from DJNTV, Disc Jockey News TV. Tonight's show is brought to you by Electro Voice, Event Planner, DJ Trivia, Odyssey Innovative Designs and Cases, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, and Insiders. Hey, we are back with the DJNTV virtual DJ Expo going on tonight here. We got a lot of stuff coming to you this evening, and doesn't look like we crashed. Yay!
Success.
Gentlemen, we got a lot of stuff to cover here. The industries, it's been in a tough place, and I'm going to turn it over to you guys. I'm going to go check a couple of feeds, and you guys can kind of take it, Lou and Umang, take it a little bit and discuss, what do we do in this world right now, man? This is a confusing time.
Absolutely. Lou, do you want to kick it off and tell us a little bit about
Sure. I mean, I don't think anybody that is under a rock right now knows what the hell that's going on. And, I've had a lot of DJs actually reach out to me, and I would say like the past 72 hours, just stressed, lots of cancellations, lots of rebooking, not knowing what's going on. Each part of the country is experiencing it in different ways, where some places are really, really locked down. Others are just starting to kind of come to that. So there's just a lot of uncertainty. And, to be frank, I don't think there is just a simple one answer. Oh yeah, in 15 days, 30 days, even 60 days, everything just goes smooth. I don't think we get to that point or ever have an answer for that for at least a little while.
Yeah, I think the challenge right now is A, we don't know how long this is going to last. And B, this is something we've never seen before, especially with the nationwide lockdown in most places and not having revenue for possibly several months. And, it's just something we don't have any sort of precedent for. Yeah.
I think the closest we come is 9/11. I mean, I just took myself out of the DJ industry at that point. I was at, Skip Barbarisa school at that point, and it was a complete precipitous drop in the amount of people interested in doing things, because people just, again, lots of uncertainty. And I think, the realistic thing that is people are going to be nervous going forward. Are they going to be nervous choosing a future date for their weddings or for their school dances or whatnot? I mean, it's just, again, I wish I had great answers here.
Yeah, I think there's two different aspects we have to talk about here. One is what's happening in the immediate future, the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months. And then the other part is what happens after we get through this COVID-19 pandemic and, hopefully return back to business and, what happens there. So I think we should break that down. Lou, what should people be doing right now in terms of, trying to save their business or whatever it is that they need to do to survive, I guess?
This is going to sound like a broken record, but first things is do not panic. I mean, everybody's going through this, not just us. There's photographers, there's videographers, there's venues. All these people are going through same stressors. And, the first thing to do is not panic, because if you panic, you're going to make poor decisions. Probably one of the very first things I would say, if you have at least an avenue for legal representation to look at your contracts, make sure you know where you're at. Not everybody has a impossibility clause, as they're sometimes called, an epidemic, pandemic clause within their contracts. It's good to know whether it's there or not. I mean, you can try to not look at it and just hope for the best. I personally wouldn't recommend that. Start to core through your contracts. If they are not there for the future, definitely start to work those in. But, first start off with, where am I in the next 15 days, 30 days with all these potential cancellations and potential reschedules? where do I stand if I have to come up with certain monies, deposits possibly, or retainers, or however you work in your contract. That's like one of the very first steps. Just know where you are legally so you can kind of start to at least plan out the very short-term future.
Yeah, I think right now, being aware of and supporting your cash position is the most important thing you can do as a vendor. Of course, we're hurting because income has suddenly been cut off, but we need to understand how much money we're burning per month, what our expenses are. Obviously, for a lot of people, income is next to zero right now, and that's very tough. But in that situation, especially for the full timers and people that rely on this income and don't have the sort of savings to dip into at, during this time of pandemic, there's some choices we have to make, in terms of, we can't get new business right now because there's no events. So what do you do to bridge that gap? Where do you get that cash? And I think a lot of small business owners aren't even fully aware of exactly how much they burn every month and where their income is coming from. And I think that's something that we definitely need, if anything, that's a lesson we've learned here.
Agreed. I think at a minimum, if you look at, let's say, what your tax year was last year, you can at least start to kind of estimate, where your subscriptions are, are you in any books, anything like that, just to kind of, you just throw everything out there just so you know where you are. You might not necessarily want to cancel any of these things, but you might have to find points where you have to lean up to survive. And that's just, the stakes of the game. So knowing where each positions are exactly, if you don't know where they are, you aren't going to make good decisions come 15, 30, 60 days down the road.
Absolutely. Now, I think what's interesting about this situation is what happens after COVID-19. I think that's the part that none of us know we don't have any information on that, and we don't have any precedent. So that's always a source of anxiety. And I think right now, a lot of people are panicking as a result. So I think what we can do is maybe talk a little bit about what life looks like after COVID-19. What are some possible scenarios of what happens to the economy, what happens to the industry, how people get back on their feet. I think that's really something that, a lot of us have very little information on right now. So
and it's hard too, because, position wise, and this isn't just for our industry as a whole, but if you just look at the economy, Steve Mnuchin just went on and expect the potential of a 20% unemployment number coming in just the next days or weeks. So that's a full 1/5 of people either making less money than they were or are completely out of a job right now. So this is going to make very big, impacts on the economy as a whole. And naturally, as we go, the world goes as well. So, that's going to be some reckoning that we all have to go through and all that. But I think the larger aspect is, let's throw scenarios out there. Let's just say things start looking positive, and say 60 days from now or so, the lifts start to come up, you're able to start getting some events rescheduled. Start preparing for the avalanche, because you're going to have people that, were either your customers at one point or potentially customers that are no longer customers of other DJs or other bands or what they are. And they're going to be looking for those dates. Can you fulfill those dates? Do you have a network of people that you can rely on to say, these are 4, 5, 6, 7 great other DJs to consider? Trying to keep everything kind of in these little small networks, I think, are very critical, because that, if they find you, they found some level of confidence in you. Well, if you can also refer those others, that confidence kind of, propagates over to them as well. And just like us, we're all worried, we're all concerned. So are the clients. They're stressed. Their day just essentially got ruined, by a disease. And now they have to start kind of making heads or tails of everything that's going on. So getting that peace of mind, going, as much as it might suck for some people, going that super extra mile, like they might not even be my customer, but how can I help them, find a good path? That's going to really help the industry as a whole, just to be able to start to get through some of this.
Yeah, I think what I see online right now is, on one hand, you have tremendous pain and people complaining about losing tens of thousands of dollars over a very short period of time. And then on the other hand, you have people that, you have this sort of wishful thinking where, once COVID-19 is over, we're going to get flooded with events and life's going to be good again, and people are still going to get married because that happens. I don't know if I believe that it's going to go either one of those ways, personally. I think it's important to understand what happens in a situation like this to the global economy and how that impacts everything else in the world. Obviously, right now, we have completely crippled the demand side. With an economy for an economy to be healthy, you need trade, and you need both supply and demand and people spending money on things. That's what makes an economy strong.
Absolutely.
And so right now what we have, obviously nobody is able to go outside and spend money on things. And so the demand side is crippled. And normally what happens is a government offers some sort of stimulus. They'll give either a tax break or a tax credit, or perhaps they will give a lower interest rate through the Fed. And we've seen that happen twice in the last week and a half, 10 days now. Is the Fed has cut interest rates, and that hasn't had a significant impact on the markets.
No.
And I think one of the reasons for that is, just because we still have crippled the demand. So even if we stimulate the economy, there's nothing to spend that money on right now.
And that's part of the problem, is like we really didn't have a lot of headroom coming into this to begin with. So even when they started bringing down the interest rates, it was a point, not even a point, like 3/4 of a point. And the stock market responded by falling precipitously the day that we announced that. So there's going to be a lot of triage that needs to happen. I think they're talking an $825 billion stimulus that might go out, that might end up resulting in checks, that might end up being small business loans. There's something I have seen on some of the Facebook groups of, I'm not going to take out a loan, I don't want to take on debt. That might be a possibility. And that goes back to our earlier discussion of knowing your cash position. If you can survive it, that's awesome. But don't risk your business by being too proud and saying, I don't want to take on debt. That's just the reality of things, because this could take more than 30 days, more than 60 days, could be months. It could even be 1-2 years before the dust really settles in this. And everybody should hope for the best, but we really should prepare for the worst, because this is just the reality of the economy.
Yeah. So I think in the short term, we're going to see people potentially taking loans to supplement their cash flow. Hopefully the government will have some sort of stimulus in place to help us meet rent. I've read stories about, I believe in New York State, they've suspended any sort of eviction proceedings. Yep. And so, hopefully people are protected under that. They're not going to be at least losing their homes over this. But it's going to have a significant impact. And then after the COVID-19 crisis is over, we can expect the government and, whatever agencies to step in and provide as much stimulus as possible to bring us back to where we were. And hopefully that works. One side that I think we haven't really considered is the supply side of things. And this is something that has tremendous implications that we have very little control over. Because if you think about what's just happened, China had their crisis. They really went into crisis mode maybe late January. Mm-hmm. And at that point, trade had almost halted, it come grinding to a halt in China. And, their oil consumption was, much lower as a result. And that caused, right now, for those of you that maybe aren't paying attention to the news, there's an oil war going on between Saudi Arabia and Russia. And that was basically sparked because in China, their oil consumption is reduced. And so, the prices have dropped because the demand has dropped. And so what Saudi Arabia,
the oil war as well. Now you got the oil war between OPEC and Russia. That's
exactly
adding another.
So now we're driving prices down because they couldn't come to an agreement on setting a price floor or minimum because to combat this lower demand that they're having for the oil. So what ends up happening is that drives the prices down. And the United States is actually the world's largest supplier of oil. So what that does to our economy is the way we derive oil is through shale and through fracking for the majority of our oil. And that is a lot more expensive to produce than the oil that they get in Saudi Arabia through drilling. So that's something that that puts us out of the economy, out of the global economy when it comes to oil. And when it comes to trade,
historically, when this is for some time to come too, because historically, when you have things like this happen where where oil is impacted directly locally, it can take a year before those start to even ramp up and produce again. So you might start seeing, even when things hopefully start getting better at some point, energy prices could also affect just the confidence in the economy as a whole, and that just affects everything. Let's just face it. Ultimately, in the end, our wedding couples, our clubs, our school dances, they're only going to sign when they feel that there's a confidence is back within the market, and that they feel like, oh, these dates aren't going to get just pushed ahead again. So, we might get lucky enough where a lot just like, let's just push it back a little bit. Let's see what happens. And there could be some that just hold off for a very long time before they really are like, okay, I feel comfortable enough now to keep on moving forward.
Yeah. And just to touch on the oil issue, just to bring it back full circle, I think the reason oil is important is because that for the United States, our primary negotiation chip has been through sanctions with other nations. And when we don't have certain commodities to export, then we can't really impose sanctions on them. And so we lose leverage in terms of trade across the world. And so, obviously China trade war is still going on, even though you don't hear much about it right now. And then, we have a conflict with Iran and all these things happening. And so that's going to have an impact on the global economy and the United States economy. And so, that's going to trickle down and affect our clients and our couples. And, that's going to have a strong effect on demand for the DJ business. So I think it's really important to understand that as bad as it is now, I think we should still focus on trying to close whatever business we can, reschedule what we have, be compassionate to our clients about, being flexible with them, because right now, and I'm sure a lot of people have already heard that, as it is for most people's contracts, you have to return the money if, you haven't rendered those services and it was some act of God or some crisis that was federally mandated as an emergency. And so, at this point, your options are either you try to split it and, be proactive with your clients, share your availability, and try to negotiate that, work with partners, partner up with other DJs so that you're sharing availability, and get whatever you can right now. Because I think these effects take some time to trickle down, but I think a lot of people got blindsided by what just happened. And it would be really unfortunate if people got blindsided a second time a few months down the road.
Agreed. I mean, I don't think 1 month ago people would imagine that we're, sheltering in homes in many areas, bars closing, restaurants closing, the war on toilet paper, milk and eggs it commenced. I mean, I really don't think many people could have envisioned that. Again, in the end, this isn't a panic situation. This is the economy. The economy goes through cycles, and this just happens to be a really tough one because there's a lot of different factors that are hitting it. And I'm really hoping that, just don't take our word for it. Like just research and go through the things out here. You need to know what your company is doing. It's part of the reasons, many of us, both of us, have started our own software companies to try to give some exposure into that, understanding and knowing the process and all that. That's what it's about. It's if you're blind to what your business is doing, you are not in a good position when calamity strikes, whether it's a pandemic, whether it's social strife, whatever that case is. You need to know what you can do. You need to know the moves that you can make, and if you make the wrong decisions, that could be perilous for your company.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think knowing your numbers is so important right now. And I think also just as we prepare, we have to put our egos aside for a minute, because I think as DJs, we have so much pride in what we do. And we're thinking, we're going to aggressively seek new clients and treat them amazing. And everything's going to be normal again. And I think sometimes you have to do what you got to do. And, it might not be DJing. I think that's the thing that I'm not hearing enough of that conversation, because I feel like that's the elephant in the room that people don't want to talk about. Because the DJ industry, if just by nature, how markets work, if there's no demand for something, it doesn't matter how much supply or how good it is. Unless you can create that demand, or if you can restore that, you're not going to have any sort of transactions occurring. You're not going to have people booking. And that's what I'm really worried about personally. And I think that, it's a legitimate thing to plan for. And if you know your numbers, you can at least run some simulations and figure out, okay, if we get this many people to book, let's say, a certain percentage of people rebook, then what does that mean for the rest of my year? What am I spending on mortgage and card payments and whatever else, right? Like, and of course, these are things we all say we know and we should know. But when it comes down to it, then if we had known and planned, we wouldn't be in this situation. So,
and this actually goes back to a video I put out a few days ago, actually a couple weeks ago. It is nothing wrong with having multiple streams of revenue. I know there's been a huge battle over the years. I'm a solo DJ operator. This is my business. I'm running this 24/7, and that's great. If you're in a position where you can survive 6, 12, 18 months of, almost zero income or even possible negative incomes, then that's great. Most people are not in that position. Even a lot of multi-ops would really have a real tough time if, say, 6 months from now, they're still not getting a considerable amount of income coming in. So, it doesn't necessarily have to be like, oh, I'm abandoning my DJ dream and goals, but there is literally nothing wrong. And I advocate for it. This is a gig economy, no matter how we flip it. Ever since, especially 2009, 2010, the Great Recession, you need it's a hustle. You need to be able to find those multiple streams of revenue. I help other DJs with their websites. I try not to charge a lot when they do that. Same thing with just looking at their businesses and all that. If you have those capabilities, do that. There's nothing wrong with being like, yep, I'm a DJ and I work my butt off doing this, but hey, you know what? In an economy like this right now, everything's going to take a hit, but it's at least softened more than just having zero revenue coming in. Because let's face it, for most of us right now, except for maybe a couple private events where there's restrictions, most of us are feeling this impact right now.
Absolutely.
So one thing I want to jump back to, Lou, you mentioned, of course, getting back with the oil and how that could affect us, that it would take a year. It could take a year for things to ramp back up again.
Easily.
I think you were referring to, and you didn't put that out there, the idea that if the price stays so low in the United States, that they're going to have to start to shut down some of the refineries that are out there.
Actually, Umang made that point, but that's exactly where it's at. It's like, as soon as the economy gets crushed from outside oil trades or oil wars, that the cost of doing shale oil here is just expensive, and it's competitive at this current price that you're seeing at the pumps. If that goes down 20, 30, 50 cents, which some areas are already starting to see now, there's no financial advantage for these shale oil explorations to even continue. And this actually happened before, when we had a dip in demand before, and there was a little bit of a price war some years ago, and they had to shut down, and it took them a while to revamp up. And by then, you're going to start seeing this wild fluctuations in the market of fairly cheap gas prices. Oh, things are skyrocketing because there's no longer that shale production in the U.S. to kind of counterbalance that and kind of keep things even. So you could see much more volatility than just in the stock market. You could see that in oil prices. You could ultimately see that in availability of goods and services, because those things are going to get sometimes cheaper than far more expensive just to even get to the market. If it even gets to market, if people aren't panic shopping at that point.
Yeah, and to add to that, I think our entire supply chain has been disrupted through this process. If we look at Wuhan, China, Wuhan is like an industrial capital of China in terms, it's similar to Detroit in the United States. There's a lot of industrial stuff happening there. And then if you look at Italy, if you look at Lombardy, Italy, you also have the same kind of thing going on there. That's also an industrial area. And so export has been disrupted in both of these industrial centers. And that has tremendously disrupted our export, just the global economy in general and exports and things like that. And so what the federal government here can do is they can always stimulate the demand side of things. They can give people money to spend, but they can't produce more supply. They can't just get more stuff from China if they're not shipping it, right? And so people may be ready to buy, but they have nothing to buy, right? And so that's a really big issue, because there's very little control our government has over that. And that's not just happening in China and in Italy, but it's happening all over the world. So that's why I think this particular recession will take a lot longer to recover from, because we're dependent on so much of the other world, and they're also going to be in that recession. So I think that's the real scary part, I think, and that's the part that we need to plan for, that I don't think enough people are talking about right now.
Yeah, while technically we're not in a recession right now, because a recession is defined by 2 quarters of negative impact, we are essentially in it. The stock market has dropped 31% over its peak, and peak was not that long ago.
Yeah, February 12th.
Yeah, it's insane. This might not be, Black Friday. I remember living through that in '87, and this might not be, the crash of 1929 going into 30, but this is significant. And I think that we have some unique aspects with the gig economy. This is the first time where there was just such a proliferation of workers without your more traditional workspace that they're working in. Lots of hustle, lots of side businesses, people working 2, 3, or even more gigs to make it through. And now I think you're seeing a much more of that fragility be exposed by this. I think this is why you're going to see that, that 20% potential unemployment number that Steve Mnuchin's like, yeah, expect it.
It could happen.
This could happen.
We got about 2 minutes left, guys, and we got to wrap up 2 or 3 minutes. You mentioned the supply and demand situation, and looking at it from a DJ perspective, talk a little bit about what happens if that demand for entertainment just doesn't come back, whether it's because of lack of funds available for people who wanting to throw parties, or the confidence that I think you guys mentioned isn't there. What do we do?
Good question. I mean, it's not like we can just immediately drive up demand. I mean, we can try our best, naturally, getting out there, trying to work with venues and other operators to be able to respark that demand, trying to find ways, maybe pushing new websites out to kind of refresh your image, getting more information out there, kind of trying to, pump the economy essentially in this part of the equation. But until that confidence reaches to a point where people are comfortable with large assemblies again, with being able to financially support that, it could be a while. I remember Brian Red, we were talking about this on one of his live shots just a couple of days ago, where the future, the at least near-term future of some of these new gatherings that do come out of this may be smaller. There could be an attrition of a lot of DJs, photographers, venues that weren't in a great financial position to begin with, and now because of this, they just can't survive. And now the question is there still going to be a glut 6 months, a year, 2 years after, or are things actually going to, the confidence does rise better than expected, and now there might be a greater demand for services. Yeah. It's really hard to kind of know until where some of the more of these metrics come in.
I also think a lot of people are focusing their energy on how to win business over competitors, but we're not looking at the market as a whole. And so I think as a market, if there's no demand, then we're going to have to innovate. We're going to have to figure out what it is that people are willing to spend money on and go there, whether that's DJing or something completely different.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and that could be such a major change, and that alone could push some people out just because what they're offering may not be a fit for what people are going to be consuming in the next 9 months to 12 months.
Totally agree. The one thing I've always said, and this is true, like when I was in my IT career, which I'm still technically in and all that, you innovate or you die. Yeah. If you can't find the way that the markets are going, if you can't expand your capabilities, like when I came back into this industry, I knew that some of my focus on the wedding side would be helping with entertainment planning and all that. So while, I love my DJing aspect, a major part of it is planning. Maybe that's where people, if they have that natural propensity to be able to do that, that's where they should go to add that as part of a service. But look at look at the telltale signs, see what's happening, see what people start kind of come back into it, and take things from there.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for your being on tonight and sharing some thoughts and such. There's a lot of deep stuff you guys dug into tonight.
Yeah, we took this one a little deep today.
Yeah, this is a serious session, but it's again great things we need to be thinking of and be aware of. That's for sure. So
thank you
guys. Gang, we'll be back in just a couple of minutes with our next. We've got Casey is on deck, ready to go, and then the chat rooms. Ben and Katie are just about done with theirs, so you could probably quick go out if you wanted to chat with them from DJNTV.com/Ben, DJNTV.com/Katie. They'll be shutting those rooms down, but the chill room is open, DJNTV.com/chill. You can go out there and hang out. Jay and Brian are in there, and they're going to be talking music. They're going to be talking industry, all sorts of things. So once again, Umang, Lou, thank you guys for being on tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's show from DJNTV, Disc Jockey News TV. Tonight's show is brought to you by Electra Voice, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, and the DJNTV Insiders. are coming to you live here on night 2 of the DJNTV virtual DJ Expo. Let's see, somebody's messaging me, and that's just that my watch telling me that, hey, you should be talking to the one and only Casey KoKoruz. Good evening, Casey.
Good evening, John. How are you, buddy?
I am doing well, doing well. Thanks for being on tonight. Let's talk about ways in which we can start to kind of get our name out there. I would like to build this guerrilla marketing, kinda.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because we've been in the industry a while. We've done a few things, and right now we're to that point where people need to just really do something.
I think we're at a place where we could take advantage of doing the Control Alt and Delete. Reboot.
Reboot. Okay? Reboot would be
people
nice.
That are all of the Apple users are like, what the hell he's talking about? But no, I think that different. We always talk about doing this at Christmas, and then naturally, our time with our families and our busyness and our, we want to wind down for a little bit, all come into play, and then we never actually do a reboot. Well, now we're being forced to do a reboot. And I think on a personal level, a lot of people are looking at their personal expenditures now and realizing maybe they're living beyond their means because they don't have enough money put away for a rainy day. And we're experiencing that rainy day now. But I think from a business point of view, in my opinion, let's just go back to basics. Let's just go back to the bare bones. And that's it. So it costs you no money. It's just about people do business with people. And as much as we all go, we're the best DJ, we're the best photo booth, or nobody does it like I do, the bottom line is people do business with people they like. That's what it comes down to. Okay? We've heard on, tonight, and I watched some of the mobile feed today about different ways of getting on lists, and we've all seen these different things a million times, but the bottom line is 52 weeks in a year, let's say it's 3 events a weekend if it's a one-room venue, they're seeing 150 DJs, or at least 50 to 100 DJs a year. So why you? Why me instead of you, John? Okay? Some people would say you're nicer than me. I say F you to those people. But,
yeah,
that's just the way it is.
But yeah, I think that calling it, getting on the phone, that was literally what Lori and I were doing earlier today. In many cases, is we were calling for our local newspaper, calling different businesses and talking to them and having that conversation for a couple of different reasons. But one of which was these were in some cases advertisers, and Lori's getting a feel for, hey, what are you doing? How are you doing? Is there anything that we can help you with? And it's not so much of a hey, please buy our product or service. It was that genuine, is there something we can do to help, get the word out on something they're doing or whatever, because it's such a time like never before.
Well, and it's interesting because I belong to a bunch of different wedding groups in the Chicago area, and everybody thinks that they're specifically unique. And as you watch the media, they're all talking about how the restaurant industry is in crisis, and the airline industry is in crisis, and the retail industry is in crisis, and all these things are in crisis. And what's interesting is everyone's in crisis, including the grocery stores right now, because what's going to happen is everybody loads up, and we eventually get past this epidemic, because Steven Seagal, Chuck Norris, Ben Affleck, and the whole crew will come in and save us, because we've always gotten through things in this country. People are going to have a lot of food on their hands, and it's not going to, it's not necessarily all going to be returnable.
Mm-hmm.
So if you bought 15 loaves of bread stocking up and you got a freezer, God bless. But a friend of mine at Pepsi said this might be great for retailers right now, but his theory is come June, in theory, if this thing all goes right, come June, no one's going to be going to the grocery store except for fresh produce, fresh vegetables, and it's, again, we have to stop looking at things just through our blinders and go from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the part we were actually thinking about today. It's like, they all of a sudden they're going to ramp up on toilet paper production, and then we're going to be hearing in late summer of the toilet paper industry that's that's hot, and they're not making anything, and now they'll be letting people, that kind of just a weird circular situation going on there.
I think that what we should be focusing on are all the things that we've always wanted to do to improve our business that we just haven't done. And it doesn't mean that we have to invest tens of thousands of dollars into it. But if we know that we've always wanted to do a blog, we'll start writing, okay? Get off of Facebook and turn off the TV from our politicians and our friends and everybody complaining about what side you're on, what side you're not on, as far as who's to blame and what's going to happen here. And just start writing, okay? Start writing, start blogging, start posting, start scheduling Instagram and Facebook posts. I mean, you have the time now. If there's ever been a time to do it, this is the time, because we don't have Christmas and New Year's celebrations to interrupt us. Mm-hmm. We have that lack in time, so there's absolutely no excuse for it at all right now.
Yeah, utilizing that time in an intelligent way. As you're listening to some people whine and cry and complain, I get that. We have that gut shot we take. And even my own children here today, as we were talking about it, it's like, okay, so what? We have this is the hand we were dealt. We got to deal with it. Now, right. You can either, this is the conversation I had. If you guys, there are people out there who are going to be average or losers in this situation, are going to sit here and complain and not do anything. Or you guys can invest in your time when reading and doing your work and doing this, doing that. My kids for sports, it's like nobody said you can't be out there running and getting prepared for if there is a shortened track season, as an example. You either use this time to grow and help and improve some aspect of what you do, or when goes around, you're going to be wondering why you're even farther in the hole.
Right. Well, I mean, I know you can't forecast a lot of stuff, but even in the school industry, homecoming is going to happen. So you may as well start emailing your contacts for homecoming dances and your annual events and just say, hey, I'm here. When you get back, I'm here. And just kind of go from that point of view. Like, be as proactive as you can be without sounding like a car salesman, but just keep reminding people that you exist. I mean, right now, everybody also just did a whole bunch of bridal shows in January and February, mm-hmm. and they all said that they were crazy, crazy busy with appointments, and they haven't had time to do the follow-ups and everything else a lot of times. Well, you got nothing but time. Yeah. And for those people that have multi-ops that unfortunately, sadly, are laying people off or cutting hours, get creative. Start put people on commission only. Okay, if they have the opportunity to make money and help grow your business, then invest, have them, hopefully they'll invest with you as well. And you kind of go from there. And I mean, at a minimum, just clean up your house too. I mean, like I said, this is your time to do it. And when I say your house, I'm not necessarily just your literal house. I'm talking about there's no reason you can't have your taxes put together by April 15th because you got nothing but time right now.
Mm-hmm.
So organize your shoebox of receipts, put everything together, get your stuff filed as early as possible. And you know what? Maybe your return will, I don't even know if they're doing expedited returns right now with what's going on in the world, but if you need cash right away, and you have a return coming, then get your return done. I mean, it's a good way to get an expedited return, get some cash through the door, and go from there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't think you can necessarily go out and do visits, but you can drop emails. You can hit up your industry friends on Facebook, and you can just shoot a note saying, just checking in to see how you're doing. And again, I think that goes a long, long way.
So you mentioned, of course, connecting on Facebook, but there's of course a lot of different social media platforms. Which one would you recommend them to really spend some time stalking other vendors and stalking other wedding businesses?
I would totally be going after LinkedIn. I mean, you hear everyone talking about Facebook, you hear everyone talking about Instagram, and there's no question that today's brides are primarily on Instagram. They're on Facebook secondary, but LinkedIn is something that nobody ever seems to talk about. And the fact of the matter is that that's social media for business. So take a look and see what's going on, and just say hello and connect. You could spend the whole time. You can search by company. You could search by their name. I mean, there's a lot of ways of doing it. I mean, go through all of your social media and just clean it up. Put in fresh profile pictures. Update your descriptions. Proofread your website, so that you don't have DJ spelled wrong anymore. I mean, this is the time to do it. There's no question about it. And listen, I wish I could tell you that doing this stuff is going to make you $1 million. It may not. It might. I mean, the way that I look at it is you've got nothing but time. Mm-hmm. And I can say that when I lost my business to my business partner, going on, I think this is my 11th year starting over, the first thing I did was I got on LinkedIn and I went absolutely crazy connecting with people so that people could find me. And I just shot them notes and said hello to people. And that way I knew that when everything went down with her and I and the lawyers started going crazy and whatever, people knew how to get in touch with me because I made myself very, very visible. Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned, of course, the starting of a business in your starting over situation. That's actually where I want to go next, is because when there's recession times, and people are losing jobs, because as Lou and Umang were just mentioning, there could be a high unemployment that hits. When that happens, people take the credit card, they go to their local gear dealer, and we're going to see, we could see some of that coming into. I mean, for the people who are in that position, is this a time to get into the business first off, and then, or maybe even if you're in it, to maybe expand? What are your thoughts on that?
You know what? I don't have an opinion about it one way or another. I mean,
hang on. Can you say that again? I don't know if I've ever heard that statement from you before.
I said I don't have an opinion on it one way or another.
Holy cats, is this recorded somewhere? Okay, continue.
Probably not. You've got all these interruptions on your streaming. This wouldn't happen on another network.
No, this wouldn't. Not on a real network instead. Yeah, it's awesome.
No, I mean, let's go back pre-coronavirus. And you know me, I'm a nerd. I love watching the statistics. I love seeing things. And we're still at the lowest marriage rate that we've been in the last 100 years. And a lot of DJs diversified, and they started going into corporate audiovisual. They were very successful at it, okay? And then this happened. And now, I spoke with one of the lighting manufacturers that I'm friends with one of the owners. He said that he was laying off 85% of his staff, that he had lost over $750,000 in 1 week of just bookings for like that week. I mean, he said he was laying everybody off. I have a friend who works at a corporate resort that does golf outings, and 85% of their business is corporate. They laid her off. They told her that once this calms down, we'll call you back, and in the meantime, there will be no argument about unemployment. I mean, I would think you should be more fearful about going to the unemployment line from catching the coronavirus than, and that's the real slap in the face. You got laid off, and then at unemployment, you caught the coronavirus. Mm-hmm. I mean, but again, history has also shown us that lots of people make lots of money being innovative in times of crisis.
True.
Whether that be war, whether it be depression, recession, or what have you, and we're forced to consistently keep reinventing ourselves. And where we typically fail, truthfully, is when we get comfortable. And that's where we start to buy the nicer clothes or the nicer cars or the bigger homes. And we feel that we've earned it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But usually what makes us better is when we're uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And right now, the whole country is very uncomfortable. And some people are going to curl up in a ball and die. Some people are going to wait for something to happen. And then the true innovators, the leaders, they're going to move forward and they're going to create a new demand for their service or reinvent themselves or figure out a way to connect with 10 people and go there. So Jody just popped on, and she's from Vegas, Jody Harris, and said, it's bad here. Jody, it's not unique to you. It's bad everywhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay? I mean, and again, you know, it's interesting. You see all these people talking about support local restaurants, support local business, support local business. If you have the money to.
Yeah, there is that. Yes, for sure.
If you look at the grocery stores that are totally cleared their shelves, clearly the shopping experience says that we're not going to be eating out. We are going to be eating in. We're going to hanker down. We're going to save our money and do what we got to do. So,
and I think,
and again, what we also don't know, just because we're ready to start rocking out everybody's parties and everything else, the weddings will happen. Will they still be the full blowouts? I don't know. I'm going to guess probably not. Okay? I'm going to guess that we're going to be looking at a lot of conservative times. For those of us that do prom season, I think prom is canceled.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So, and in the South, like, you know, North Carolina, Tennessee, prom seasons right now already. So, and it'll be really interesting to see how the tuxedo industry handles it. So, I mean, tuxedo industry for independent operators, not for a big men's warehouse, but even for the independents, prom season was their Christmas. And that's where they were making a ton of money. But even if you look at Men's Warehouse, their stock yesterday was $1.50 a share. 5 years ago, it was $65 a share. And then they bought Joseph A. Banks. They're responsible for 60% of the formal wear rental market in this country. So the question being is, how are the mom and pops in that industry going to do? You know, so, and the old adage, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. We may see a lot of large companies go under.
Certainly. Yeah, that's a real.
Now that I've just cheered everybody up, woo!
But it's all part of that. All part of the what we're going to be going through. And I mean, there's we could look at it and put on our rosy sunglasses and think the world isn't going to be tough over a next period of time, or we can, you know, as you say, we don't go and curl up in a corner and die. We've got to go forward and do what we.
But I also think leaders have always led, and followers have always followed,
mm-hmm.
and that's just the way that it's going to be. And even going back to Jody's note, she's saying nobody wants to be sold right now. Nobody ever wants to be sold, period. Okay? Everybody wants to buy. They don't want to be sold.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, like I said earlier, you just pick up the phone and you call 10 of your favorite wedding vendors. Okay? I think they're just going to sincerely, warmly appreciate it. You know, I think that everyone's right now. I posted on my Facebook page on Monday. My personal emotions was just numb.
Yeah, I saw that.
I wasn't angry because who are you going to get angry at?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can say the president should have responded earlier. Some people say he responded perfectly. I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but it wouldn't have changed a lot. We still would have had this virus here. Okay, it's not like he could have sprayed, you know, Lysol in the month of January and this would have been gone. All right. The good part is if you look at China right now, they're talking about how people are going back to work and some of the areas are being hit, so are being back. So, you know, I'm not sad. I'm concerned, and I don't feel like I've got a ton to be happy about. It's the warmth of the sun on my face today, just as a welcome change.
Mm-hmm.
But The phones here are very, very quiet. And the only calls that I'm really taking are people. What can we do about our deposits? What can we do about our postponements? And excuse me. Jody, nobody wants to buy right now. Okay. Well, Jody, other than toilet paper and groceries, what are you buying right now? Are you running out and buying a car? Okay. So, again, we're all in this together, and I wish that I had better advice, but like I said, I don't think you're going to sell a lot right now, but what you can do is a lot of branding and a lot of goodwill. So that when things do change, you'll be the one they remember, as opposed to the one that was absent.
And I think that there are, and maybe some markets or others are more apt to have this, but couples are looking around. They are inquiring. I mean, in my own personal experience here, in the last 10 days, I've had more inquiries than I had the whole month of January. It's been a really good inquiry. Not that anyone's booking at this point in time, because we're having those negotiations. I think it obviously depends on the market a little bit, and our people. Jody's in a destination situation, so that's going to be a little bit different than maybe some others. But it's right now, in my case, it's communication. I mean, I had two couples. I was having conversations back and forth via text messaging. Yay, the new world. But that's what they wanted to do, and that's what we did. And the part I'm wondering as I'm having these conversations is that how many of these couples that are getting married, we wanted to get married early, have to postpone, and now they're going to end up in the fall, and they're going to say basically, okay, we wanted to do a wedding, and we were going to have I'm going to throw a number, a $20,000 budget wedding, and have a little bit bigger event in our area. Now it's like, we can't get what we want, so let's just have a little $5,000 wedding, as an example, where they're scaling things back to get it done in this calendar year, but it's not what they wanted, but it's what will get them.
It's what they're comfortable with right now.
Right, and maybe their comfort level, just because of the where they are economically and such. So there's
But again, right now, your 10 inquiries might also be because right now they have the time.
Yeah.
They have the time, just like what I'm saying is look at your websites, look at your social media, look at everybody else's social media, do your homework, turn off the goddamn television, okay? Tune into DJ News, and that's the only thing you have to watch is DJNTV. Nothing. You're not even paying attention.
I am. I'm agreeing with you that the only thing to watch. I can listen.
And again, I tuned in today to the Mobile Beat thing just to see what people were talking about and such. And and again, there's plenty of time now for the podcast that you never, what do you call it, that you've never had the time. And all of those books that you bought at DJ conventions, the time. You got to have 4 Mike Walter books sitting on a shelf just that you've never read. Start reading them. Start investing your time wisely.
Yeah, and this is that time to grow and improve, sharpen the tool, as they say.
But the last thing you should do is crawl on the couch and do nothing. Easy to feel sorry for yourself.
Casey, somebody mentioned up a little bit here in the chat room. DJ Daddy, it mentioned home-based businesses in a different context, and that's what I was kind of. The first thing that came to me, of course, is the diversification of one's income flow. And I wonder if that's going to become a push in the DJ industry, because our diversification that we've had for a number of years was, well, I was a DJ, let's diversify. I'm going to add a photo booth, and I'm going to add trivia, and I'm going to add karaoke. Everything was in the same field. It's just we were playing in different parts of the field, I guess is the way I'll describe it. Is there going to be a push now for people to diversify outside of the DJ industry so that they'll be doing entertainment and something else? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think it's a terrible idea by any means. I mean, you still have entrepreneurial skills as a company owner. So if you diversify into something else that gives you a backup plan, everybody's got to do something differently. And I don't mean to sound like a jerk, and I might come off like a jerk, but there's a lot of DJs that have gotten very content sitting on their asses. Yes, I used profanity, okay, that you know that they could be working harder, okay? Whether that's something simple like Uber or Uber Eats or something during the week where they could be making more money, but they've gotten content. We all get content. We all get comfortable, okay? And then something like this happens, or you have a tragedy in your life, or something happens, okay? I mean, we just knew our friend Andy Eban just had changes in his life.
Yes.
And, you know, there have been plenty of other. Brandon and Cami Stores went to help at a church retreat. What, 2 years ago? They came home, their house was burned down. Like, bad things happen every single day. But again, maybe we've just gotten too comfortable, and it's when we get uncomfortable that things need to change. So it's funny, when I was younger, I had far bigger balls than I do now. And I would do a lot. I mean, I did crazy stuff because I didn't know any better. Now I'm a lot more conservative in things.
And a much nicer, more humble, more loving person. Video freeze. Looks like a video froze. Must be a video froze.
I, for one, will be starting my rap career now.
Nice, it's good. Yeah.
Because there's nothing like a middle-aged, heavy-set, bald guy going out there.
I think
I'll be the notorious. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure that out later. So, Casey, thanks for the chat tonight.
Oh, that was fast.
Yeah,
real fast.
it did. It goes really quick on these shows. It's like, goodness gracious, we just start, and the next thing you know, it's like 10, 11 o'clock at night. So thank you much for being on there. For those of you out there, we have two things going on right now. The gear rooms are all shut down for tonight. That was the end of the gear rooms. They will not be open again. If you want to, I think Ben is going to be doing some things with Mobile Beat tomorrow. You guys can go out to Mobile Beat Las Vegas, check that out, and find out when he's going to be there doing some things. But we've got the chill room. Jay and Brian are in the chill room, and that's djntv.com/chill. You can bounce out there and do that. Or you can get ready, because in about 2 minutes, we're going to have Dave Ternier joining us, and he's going to be sharing some knowledge and having some fun with us here on the show. So, Casey, once again, thanks for being on tonight.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys in just a minute. Good evening and welcome to tonight's show from DJNTV, Disc Jockey News TV. Tonight's show is brought to you by Electra Voice, DJ Event Planner, DJ Trivia, Odyssey Innovative Designs and Cases, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, and the DJNTV Insiders. We are back in the middle of the DJNTV Virtual DJ Expo 2020. We are in the middle of our second night. This is going really quite well tonight with only one major crash. Dave Ternier from Canada. Good evening, Dave.
Hi.
I'm glad you could make it all the way down here. Well,
I'm here.
You are.
I'm here.
So you're going to dig into some topics tonight. You're going to dig into something, a hands-on thing that we could be doing now during this time where things have just kind of slowed down just a wee bit for a few of us.
yeah, you know, when you asked me to be on here tonight and everything, I was like, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? And something that you asked me to do stuck out, and that was a couple of tangible takeaways, something that they can action. So I know that, well, anyway, a lot of people know that I do a lot of communication with vendors, with people who do toasts, all the type of stuff ahead of time. So rather than just talk about that, I thought I would dig into something that makes all that easy for me, and that is email templates. That
Sure.
might be boring as hell to some people, but I know for some others, it's going to be like huge light bulb, like, oh my God, what? So that's what I want to dig into tonight.
Excellent. Sounds great. Yeah, get that screen share up, and I'll let you go. And I'm going to go check on a couple of things here.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Make sure that goes.
Okay, everybody. So I do want this to be slightly interactive. So I do have the YouTube feed running on another computer here. So if people have questions or comments, I know there's a slight delay between what I'm saying and what you see, and then you can respond to. But I'm really going to try to work hard on addressing your questions as they relate to what I want to talk about tonight, which, as I said, to some people might sound really boring, but here's the reality. Email templates, merge tags, if that second term particularly is something that you know nothing about, your mind is going to be blown tonight. Now, many of you probably know what this is all about already, but maybe you'll find something refreshing from my approach to it. We are in we're in a pretty unique period of time right now. That's probably been a common theme to every presentation that's been on in this virtual expo. So I'm not going to dwell on it too much. Suffice to say, I suppose, that word from a lot of really great people has been along the lines of, this is not the time to sit back and be upset about things you can't control and just wallow in this massive state of discomfort. This is the time to work. This is the time to refine that social media marketing campaign. Joe Bunn said it the other day. He said, look, I think it was one of his videos. He said, look, you got no excuse now. Schedule your Instagram posts for the next month. These, you know, the whole struggling to find time to do all these things, that's gone out the window for a lot of people now, and this guy here included. So be it, you know, working on social media, be it working on a website, being it working on sales processes, whatever. I hope that what I'm going to share and speak with you about tonight is one more thing you can simply add to that toolbox, and that is working on your communication systems with your clients ahead of their event, with the vendors related to that event, and so on and so forth. So hopefully the comment stream helps get me going in a few directions that maybe I hadn't thought of yet. I thrive off of organic conversation. So I would love for you to participate in that if you can. So what I want to get into is if you are not using a CRM system of some sort, what I'm going to share is not going to hold quite as much value. You might be a Power DJ event planner user. You might be a DJ intelligence user, eWebman, gig builder. Help me out. There's a whole bunch of others there. If you use one of them, if you use something that I've not mentioned, please let me know in the comments on the YouTube feed. But there's a lot of automation systems out there that allow you to input client information, and then you can create merge tags unique to that client so that their name will auto-populate in email templates. Now, I'm not going to be talking only about email templates that you maybe send out to your clients, but I'm also going to be talking about email templates that maybe one might send out to the parents of the bride or the groom, or maybe somebody doing a toast to the bride or toast to the groom. I'm talking about email templates there as well, which will also include merge tags. I'm going to do some screen sharing. I use DJ Event Planner, so what I will be sharing and how I set things up is specific to DJ Event Planner, but generally speaking, it doesn't vary a whole lot from one system to the other. Merge tags, maybe they'll go by a different name in a different system, but the core functionality of merge tags is pretty universal across computers these days. So let's get into this. I have a pile of email templates that I have pre-built in DJ Event Planner. Let me just pull those up, and then I'm going to share a screen here with you. Okay, let's go here. I'm going to quickly run through all of my email templates, share a little bit about each one of them with you, and then I'll dive into a few specifically just to show you how I've built them. I'm going to apologize for one thing right now, which for anybody that knows me, you're going to laugh. Yes, some of my emails are a little wordy. That's me. You know me. That's me. I hope what people love and hate about me simultaneously. Okay, so let's jump into a screen share here. No comments yet. Not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Anyway, so here are some of the email templates that I have in DJ Event Planner. I'm going to do a quick scroll through them. I am a single operator, by the way. I have no staff, so these are all email templates that I manage, I control, I send out. So I have a lot of them here. Now I'm going to quickly walk through the process by which I name email templates. And I realize that might sound really, really dull, but this is pretty huge for me. I'm going to start at the bottom of the list, though. So so you're going to see a whole bunch of email templates in front of you right now that are named Z, A, and then there's there's a field, and there's a few more fields. So I just named them Z so that they pop to the bottom of this list. That's the only reason the Z is there. The capital A represents that this is an automatic email. So this will be automatically triggered based on timing that's built into the system. So maybe it'll automatically trigger, 2 months before the wedding. Maybe it'll automatically trigger 1 month after or 1 week after the wedding, whatever it might be. So A refers to the fact that this is an automatic email. The next field is pretty obvious. I think it tells me when this is going to be set up. So this is an email here that sends out ahead of the social. And then these here all down below are pre-wedding. Now, the numbers that then follow, these numbers have to do with how many days prior to the event that email is being sent out. So again, at a glance, I know a lot of information about my email templates without actually having to go into them. And you could say it's through this code type system that I've set up for myself. This might make some of you roll your eyes, and this might make some of you go, wow, never thought of that. Hopefully there's a little bit of both going on. So pretty straightforward, right? 050, that sends out 50 days prior to an event. 138, that sends out 138 days prior to an event. Now the next field says who it sends to. Admin, I'm the admin person. These automatic emails that you're looking at here, they're actually all automatic trigger emails that remind me to take an action of some sort. Rather than loading a bunch of stuff into a calendar or referencing a checklist for all my weddings every week, I will get an email sent to me that says, hey, Dave, you've got to write the grand entrance for so-and-so's wedding. And that's going to come out to me 50 days before their wedding. I'm going to get an email 24 days before their wedding that says, hey, Dave, you need to touch base with the wedding couple about who's sitting in the front row of the ceremony, because I don't do that until a couple of weeks before, because they often haven't figured that out yet until their guest list is finalized. So these are all emails that come out to me. Now, when I scroll up here, I'll get into the next side of things here right away. When I scroll up here, you'll see the Z and the A disappear. Now that's because none of these are auto emails. So these emails are all named according to the category of email that they sit in. So regarding the speeches or toasts, whatever you would like to call them, these are all the different emails I have set up for that. Down to even, look at this, toast to the bride, a shy person. I'll tell you about that in just a few minutes. So all of these emails are simply named by category and then a little more detail about what the email is about. So I have email templates for everything, as you can see. So the officiant, if I'm working with a brand new officiant, wedding officiant I've never worked with before, I have an email template for somebody who I've never worked with before, this one here. If I'm working with an officiant that I've worked with lots before, I have a different email template, because obviously those two people need to get a different message from me. The intro to a new officiant says, hi, my name is Dave. I don't think we've ever had the chance to work together before, but I look forward to working with you at XY's wedding, right? Obviously, I wouldn't want to send that email to an officiant that I've worked with 5 times before, because now they know they're just, part of some auto email system that Dave has built, and wow, he doesn't actually care. This is just a computer. And so on and so forth. Some follow-up email templates, lots of different email templates. So this probably gives you a bit of an outline as to what is all in here. Now, as you can see, yeah, I have a lot of email templates, and maybe this is nothing compared to some of you, but for me as a single op, these are a lot of email templates. This took forever to build, and it is forever being updated and modified over time. Why I wanted to talk about this specifically this evening was because, sadly, due to the global health crisis that's going on with COVID-19, unfortunately, a lot of individuals in our world are going to have a lot of unexpected free time. Setting this type of stuff up takes a lot of time. That's why I wanted to discuss it here tonight with all of you. So if you're overwhelmed by, oh my God, it looks like a lot of work. Yeah, of course it's a lot of work. And now is a great time to be doing that. So let's just dive into one quickly here, and I'll just touch on maybe how I have some of the things working. Let's go into a follow-up one, because I know everybody's always curious, how do you follow up with your events? So let's go into, why is this window? Oh, there we go. Now we're responding properly. So, follow-up to my wedding couple. So let me click into that one. Loading, loading, loading. So the subject line says, and there we go, you are married. So I have custom fields set up in DJ Event Planner for the first names of my couples, so that in this email, when I go to send it, and I will show you an example of what that looks like quickly right away, their names will automatically appear. So it says, congratulations again. I just want to send a quick note of thanks, so on and so forth. Things seem to run pretty well from my point of view. Were there any issues or anything? Actually, I'm going to quickly stop on this one. I once read a Preston Bailey article, I believe it was, where he referenced when he follows up with his event clients, he always asks a question similar to this, and then also puts in there something that he acknowledges did not function properly or didn't go quite as planned. He is constantly monitoring his events for something that didn't quite work right. And while some of you may say, well, Dave, some events, everything went perfectly. I think you're wrong. There's always something that could have been a little bit better or something. So when I go to send this email out to people, things can run right well from my point of view. Were there any issues with I will often say, by the way, I know sorry about that or whatever. I love to acknowledge a fault in this email because, according to Preston Bailey, and I happen to agree with this, people will be more apt to respond to you with an issue if they see you acknowledging one first. You've opened the door to that first. So that's just a small side note. But yeah, anyway, I have an embedded link here to find my review page. This is not a Wedding Wire review page. This is a more detailed review page where I'm looking for a lot of information from them. So let me just X out of here. Now, you're going to notice something else here. None of these emails have my little code for auto in front of them, do they? So all these emails down here, these are auto sent out by the system. None of these are. And this is going to probably, set some people off because some of you will run larger companies and just could not scale this. But I manually send out every one of these emails because A, it's a template. So really it takes me like 10 or 15 seconds. And B, if there's an opportunity to customize it because of maybe a conversation I happened to have with the bride yesterday, or maybe because of a wedding I happened to work with an officiant on last weekend, and now I'm emailing her again saying, by the way, looking forward to working with you again. I want to reference that. I want people to know these emails are not simply being auto sent to them, because we all know what those emails look like, don't we? You know when an email has been auto sent to you and not sent to you by a human. I want people to know that an actual human was involved in sending out this email, because that communicates a lot more care and attention than what we're used to with auto emails. Quick question, DJ Gummy, are you currently using the SMS on DJ Event Planner? You know what? I'm not, and I need to get that set up. I think that's an integration through Twilio. Is that right? I don't know if I'm getting that name right. I have not gotten that set up yet. If anybody has any experience with that, and if it's really great, I need to get on that. So yeah, let me just jump into a couple of other emails. So when it comes to speeches, those who have heard me speak about this before know that I'm really particular. Nobody speaks at weddings without me getting a hold of them a couple of months before the wedding with some speaking tips and so on and so forth on what they should do. Now, what does that speech look like? Again, this may be a touch lengthy, but I'll go into Toast to the Bride. So this is my email regarding Toast to the Bride. It says, hi, and I have to manually type in their first name here. I understand you're presenting a Toast to the Bride at, Tracy and Adam's wedding. Does that sound right? Then I do a quick short paragraph of introduction. If you've already written the majority of your toast, I know it follows might hold a little value, but I put myself forward as a resource to everybody. And I then link to 2 documents. Now, for those who are like, you can add document attachments to this. I'm not aware that you can. My entire life and every one of my files lives in Dropbox. So these are simply embedded Dropbox links is what they are. So they can find Speaking at Weddings, and they can find Wedding Toasts Made Easy, which is an ebook that I have purchased for redistribution from Tom Heibeck, who's the author of that. And then another small note, this is a little bonus thing here. Please feel free to send me a copy of your speech for proofreading if you'd like, and that way I can also have an extra copy printed for you as a backup at the reception. I don't know about all of you, but I've been to many a wedding where a speech went missing. Most often it's the thank you speech my couples have, but even Toast to the Bride, Toast to the Groom, occasionally that stuff goes missing too. I have had a surprising number of people take me up on this. And there's some extra gold when it comes to when people do share it with me. The odd wedding, I will get every toast sent to me. Now, I don't know about the geographical region you're in, but in the region that I'm in, there are quite often 4 speeches. There is Toast to the Bride, Toast to the Groom, and then usually both sets of parents offer a welcome to the family to their new daughter-in-law or new son-in-law. So quite often we have those 4. It takes about 20 minutes. It's generally really fun. Anyway, the order of those speeches, if I had the grace of being able to read all 4 of those speeches ahead of time, I now start to rearrange the order of those speeches based on the content I see in the speeches. I am forever looking for ways in which I can increase the odds of a certain outcome. Now, when it comes to speeches, obviously, by moving the order around, I don't know exactly how the person is going to deliver it. So I can't be absolutely certain that we're now going to end with the best one, but I want to stack the deck in favor of odds that see us working toward the strong finish. Nobody wants to go right after the person who just killed it. Nobody. No. Am I right, John? John's smiling and laughing. I can't hear him, but he knows what I'm talking about. Nobody wants to go after that person that just brought the house down.
Yeah,
and oftentimes, what's that, John?
That's not a good spot to be, for sure.
No, it's not a good spot to be, right? And oftentimes, if I'm able to see the speeches ahead of time, I get to, that guy, look, like this is gold. I'm going to put that person at the end. So it's a small little side note regarding the content of that. John, anything you've heard? Do you have any questions that people might?
No, I'm just, I see though in the chat, DJ Gumby is asking if they could
share some templates.
Yeah.
You know what? I have shared a bunch of these templates on djthought.com, my blog.
Excellent.
I'm going to have to work with, where did I put them again?
There was, that's that blog that guy used to do on a regular basis, and then he took up biking.
It wasn't biking. It was my involvement with the Canadian Professional Disc Jockey Association. I swear to God. If anybody jump to, for anybody listening, at djthought.com. I still pay for the domain. I renew it every year, so the content is still there. I have shared some of my email templates there. God, you might have to dig for them a little bit. Actually, if you sign up as a subscriber, you're not going to get any new blog posts sent to you because I haven't written there in ages. But I believe if you sign up as a subscriber, it'll shoot you back an auto email links to all the downloadable content I've posted, and there will be some email templates in there.
Yeah. Yep. Typically they do that, so you can.
So that's probably the easiest way to get. But if anybody wants to reach out to me, by all means, please do. I have a number of things on the go at the moment, so if it takes me a day or two to get back to you, I apologize. But absolutely, if you see an email template, you're like, what? Never thought of that. Shoot me a message. Now, I just want to quickly point out, Toast of the Bride shy. Yes, I've had a couple of weddings where I've been told by the bride and groom, hey, Dave, so-and-so is going to do Toast of the Bride, but she's like really like not super confident about it, pretty shy, yada, yada, yada. Well, after modifying my email that I send to that shy person once or twice, I'm like, why do I keep modifying the email? Create a new template. So now it's always there if I need it.
Nice.
I love email templates. Honestly, I don't... Troy would probably hate me if he knew this, but I don't use DJ Event Planner for as much of the planning side of it as I should. I do that a lot manually still in documents here, but DJ Event Planner is worth it for the email templates and the ability to send those alone. Like, it's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in case anybody, hold on one quick second. In case anybody doesn't use a CRM, I know there are many out there that don't. Let me just jump in real quick and show you how easy it is to send one of these emails now. Again, I know that might be like, some of you might be going, seriously, Dave, you're going to show this? A lot of people that I know still don't use a CRM system. John, you probably know of plenty that don't too.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to jump into, let's see, I don't think there's there's no personally identifiable details in here. So let me screen share this. So this is for a wedding that I, cross my fingers, hopefully still have coming up on May 23rd. So yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
so Dallas and Carrie's wedding. So when I go into the email module, and I want to fire off an email to maybe the bridesmaid who's doing Toast of the Bride, I simply go to the email, scroll all the way down to speech, Toast of the Bride. I click on that. And I know this email's long. I know. But anyway, so look at that. All I have to do is put the person's email address in here and their first name here and done. The subject line has already said, hey, Toast of the Bride at Carrie's wedding. And I always put if it's Toast to the Bride speech I'm talking about, I only put the bride's name in here. If it's a Toast to the Groom speech email, I only put the groom's name in that subject line. And oftentimes I do that because this email is going to like their closest friend. So I use verbiage that speaks to that person in that same way. So I understand you're sending a Toast to the Bride at Carrie and Dallas's wedding, right? So all those merge tags that we saw in that previous setup screen, they're all just magically into Dallas and Carrie's wedding, Carrie and Dallas's, sorry, not their wedding, but their names in here, and so on and so forth. So super straightforward. I don't know if anybody has any questions about this. This should be pretty straightforward. DJ Gumby says it did a wedding outside of Ottawa, and it was the same format. 4 toaster. Yeah, parents. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you don't have parents welcoming their new in-law to the family, their daughter-in-law, son-in-law, it's a really neat thing, actually. Granted, some of them can go on a little bit, but I always cap it like 5 minutes is what I tell people. So, but yeah. So if I go back here, from here, I've got email templates that have to do with finance. I've got email templates that have to do with, the wedding agreement. This is all pretty standard stuff. But again, if I'm working with a, let's go. Photographer. If I'm working with a brand new photographer, intro to new photographer, familiar. So I click on new photographer, as is the case here at Dallas and Carrie's wedding. And here we go. I just want to send a quick hello. My name is Dave Ternier, yada, yada, yada. We just started planning things out. It's already looking like it's really going to be a really great wedding, complete with a few really unexpected surprises. I always write that because of the nature of my work. A photographer that's never worked with me before, I do things that most other DJs don't. So I love putting that in there because this helps build some anticipation with that photographer as well.
Right. Yeah.
They're like, anticipated surprises? Are you going to let me in on that? And then, of course, when they say that, what do I say? Of course I'm going to. We're going to be super, super tight on this wedding because we're a team. And it helps me get referrals and all that type of stuff. Should have been in Vegas to see the word of mouth presentation. Actually, is that available in the Insiders area, John?
You were yeah, it is. Yep. You day one is all the shows from day one are up, and you were day one. So
yes,
we were going to put day 2 up this week, but because we're doing this, day 2 did not go. So next week will be day 2 videos, and the week after will be day 3 videos. So
got it.
Yeah.
One other small note about this email, by the way, in case anybody's wondering, this last sentence here is super critical. It says, do you have a Facebook page? I could probably say Instagram account too for your photography business I can connect with. Now, why the hell would I ask that, right, John? I can just go online and find out myself, can't I?
Search is a great thing. Tell us,
It
Dave,
is.
why would you do that?
Because I want the photographer to reply to me.
Makes sense.
That always gets me a reply every time. Because I'm basically saying, hey, make it easy for me to find your page. I'm going to go give it a like. They're like, heck yeah. And the moment they reply, we've started to have a conversation. And that then tells me that come the wedding, we're going to have a great time together.
Sure.
Because without a conversation, no relationship will ever happen. So when I follow up with this photographer after the wedding, they're already going to be used to having replied to me because I'm not just another DJ. I'm somebody who took the time to get to know them and to interact with them in a way that they've probably never, ever before interacted with a DJ before. So I do this because I know this is an easy question for them to reply with, and it'll get me a reply as opposed to them ignoring it and going, oh, it's just another DJ.
just bothering us. He is.
Right. So that's, I hope, last question. How are you integrating both partners' names? My client details usually only has one space for name. I can quickly show that. That is in custom fields. Application. Where do I do that? Application. Here we go. Client settings, I think. No, let me just find that quick, and then I'm going to screen share once I know where it is. So I don't look like, custom fields. There we go. Client. Boom. Okay. Let me go here. Let me go here. Okay. I'll show quickly in DJ Event Planner. Yeah. This is how I do it. So on the left-hand side, setup, application, client settings. Custom fields right here. Custom fields. You can create custom fields under a whole pile of categories. Under client, custom fields. So here we go. Groom's first name and bride's first name. You can actually set up like lots, like 20 custom fields under the client section alone. So I create those as custom fields, and then when I'm entering in the client's information at the very, very start, I just know to throw their first names in those two custom fields, and then I know all my email templates will work fine.
Excellent.
So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, good.
There we go. Like I said, that might have been 101 for some people, but I know it was like 501 for some people too. So
yeah, good stuff though for those who are kind of getting into that, giving them a little taste, so it takes some of the intimidation factor out there. So
yeah, well, and now's the time you got time to work on it. I mean, sadly, it's use it as an opportunity because that's kind of how I am. I'm optimistic to a fault some days.
Yep, exactly. This is the time to. We've been sad. Now we're time to work and make tomorrow a brighter day. So, Dave, thank you very much. We're going to jump to the next show. The awesome. chill room is open, DJNTV.com/chill. You can pop out there. Jay and Brian are out there with the crew having some fun. And Chris Hintz is up on deck next. He and I will be up in about 2 minutes. Dave, thanks again for being on tonight.
Take care, everybody. Thanks, John.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's show from DJNTV, Disc Jockey News TV. Tonight's show is brought to you by Electra Voice, DJ Trivia, Odyssey Innovative Designs and Cases, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, and the DJNTV Insiders. segue, and we are now live. And I think my camera is, not too bad, not too bad. Hey, so we're back. It is now 11 o'clock Eastern. For those of you keeping track of this, if you're watching later, well, you missed the late night stuff, and that's what we're headed to next for the next few sessions. Chris Hintz from Sioux Falls is with me. Good evening, Chris.
Hey, how are you, John?
I am doing well. Thanks for coming on tonight and chatting with us.
Absolutely.
Time to talk staff. We've reached that part of the night. Let's dig into this a little bit and such, because you run a multi down in the Sioux Falls area.
Yep. We got 39 employees right now. We've been on a hiring streak the last 6 months, so we're pretty excited. We just gone through MC training. We're halfway through our MC training for our wedding season. We've done a ton of nightlife training and stuff too. So we've been adding to our team pretty steadily, and we hope to be able to keep that up here, in the latter part of 2020. So pretty excited.
Wow, congratulations. That's a great. I didn't realize you had that many working with you. So awesome.
Yeah, I would say we have 9 full-timers, and then there's probably 20 that work once a week or twice a week, and then there's a couple that work on call once a month, once every couple weeks, depending upon wedding season and photo booths and stuff too.
Sure.
So, but yeah, it's been pretty great. So, and I know that everyone talks about how we're nothing without our people, but that's very true, especially in the multi-app world. So
yeah, that it is.
I think how we treat our people it's pretty dang important.
And I think especially during times like this, where it's a tough time financially and economically for everybody across the board, and how you treat someone will go a long way to that loyalty that they're going to show you as a business.
Yep. Well, I guess we have 2 types of learning.
Oh no! We lost Chris. And it looks like my camera is a little bit behind here. Or did we lose internet? No, I'm still showing connection. Well, we'll just hang on here and hopefully Chris can join us. You're watching, of course, our DJNTV event here. I'm going to pop over to the webcam and come here. So you guys I'm on a different camera instead of that. Maybe it looks like it's still, maybe I'm not too far off. But yeah, our virtual expo here, and Chris Hintz will be coming back with us in just a second. But sometimes when you're doing live things and you are connecting across the country, and it's during that time when everybody has connections and such to watch TV because there's absolutely nothing else for them to do. Things like that happen. Chris, I'm going to bring you back in here. I'm just flipping screen. There we go. We back? Audio?
Can you hear me?
Yep, you're great. Okay.
Fantastic.
So yeah, we were just shut right off on us.
Did I do something? If I did, I apologize.
I have no idea. It could have. Their internet isn't. It's more. Oh, there we go. They're good. Yep. Screen share.
Sweet.
You are on an Apple. I recognize that. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's dig in. Let's dig into it. What do you got for us?
Well, like I said, I'm not sure where I got cut off, but
it was right away.
Did he? Okay, perfect. Well, my dad used to say you have two chances of being a boss, right? Or learning how to be a boss. You learn from every single boss you've ever worked for, whether you like them or not. Those are all learning experiences, how you're going to treat people or how you want to be treated. And then you have a chance when you hopefully become a boss. And as a leader of a multi-app company here in Sioux Falls, we've hired a lot of really great people. And we've had some that have worked out insanely well, and we have some that haven't worked out. But that's part of, being a boss, is learning how to be a better leader and learning how to get the best out of your team. And for me, I like to equate things to movies. So I think that what we do is very similar to what Kevin Costner did in the movie Draft Day. For those of you who are familiar, John, have you ever seen the movie?
I have not. No, it's a sporting movie and I didn't see it. I don't know what happened.
Well, it's more about Kevin Costner is a general manager, and his father was the king of Cleveland, and in the movie anyway. And the son is the general manager, and that's Kevin Costner. And everyone second guesses him, says he's lost his stuff, but he was a really great general manager. And I look at what we do from an interview perspective when we have new people that we're looking at bringing on board as the role of the general manager in Draft Day and Kevin Costner's role. personally, I mean, I think he played a masterful role in the movie. And in the general manager, you have to know the needs of your team, both short term, like what we need right now, and then long term. And in the movie, Kevin Costner, again, was second guessed by every one of his decisions, and he made some really bold decisions. And at the end of the day, the draft worked out exactly how he wanted it to, even though he had a ton of naysayers, people that were really, really close to him, people in leadership, his coaches. Everyone was second guessing the decisions that he was making. But what he was doing was he was making sure that he had the right pieces on his team to make sure that he had the best team that was on the field.
Sure.
And I think that's what we're doing on a daily basis when we're interviewing and we're hiring people. It's all about leveraging our position as the general manager to make sure that we're getting the talent that we need, that we can forecast our needs, both short term, the plugs and the holes that we need to fill right now. Say you have a wedding DJ that, got sick or was in a car accident. So we know that in the next 2 weeks, we're going to have to find someone to fill that hole.
Right.
And sometimes you're hiring a short-term need, but there's other times where you're thinking more long-term in strategy. And maybe this person has the right personality and we think that they're the right fit, but it's going to take some time to cultivate that. So I think it's all about finding the missing pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And no one's looking at hiring any employees, and an employee isn't looking at joining an organization that they don't want it to work out. It's kind of like when we talk to brides and grooms, they say, well, what do you want? Well, we want a fun wedding. Well, we all want fun weddings, but we've all been to weddings that are not fun,
yeah.
Right? So every time that we're looking for someone, I think it's about asking the right questions and making sure that it's deeper than the, tell me a time when you were challenged and how you handled that.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than that. To me, it's more about finding out who the people are. That whole trust but verify thing comes into play, checking references, checking friendships. And I think that we stalk our employees just like they stalk us.
Yep.
They're going to be on Facebook. We're going to check out their Instagram. We're going to check out their, not so much Twitter where we are, but definitely their Facebook, and make sure that what they're posting aligns with our image, because we are who we work with.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, it's why are they looking into working with us? Do they want to be the next EDM superstar? We've had some of those people that have applied.
Right.
We're not really looking for producers or for people to take their own music and go to the next level. I'm not saying it's not possible, but that's not our goal. Mm-hmm. Our goal with our drafting is to make sure that we have the right talent in the right places on the right team, and making sure the bus is running the way it's supposed to be. And sometimes asking them what they think their job is, that's where you kind of see where they're at, where they want to be, because sometimes that's fluid. I think that changes from a day to day or based on what they see on their Facebook profile or our Facebook profiles. Mm-hmm. So if we do a huge corporate event, we showcase one of those, then they think that's all we do is corporate. If we do a block party in Omaha, with 3,000 people, and that's what they see, we sometimes get people that want that life, and I get it. But for all of us, at least as multi-ops, it's a myriad of different things. Also, I like asking people what their hobbies are. What do they like doing outside of work? Because work should, be a part of your life, but it shouldn't be everything. Mm-hmm. I think when you have similarities, and if you like the Vikings, right? Unfortunately, I do. So we're apologists. It's always kind of fun to be like, okay, cool. I got somebody else to watch the game with on Sunday, or talk about it at work and, make fun of those Packer fans when we beat them, which hasn't happened often enough. But also, like, what did they do in high school? Were they involved in theater? Were they involved in lighting? Were they involved in any AV type stuff? It's kind of cool to get some of those, even if they're only applying for a photo booth job. One of our Singo and trivia hosts that we hired, she, her major in college was photography. We never knew that. Mm-hmm. So during our interview process, we missed a few things. But anyway, you're basically trying to figure out who these people are and then how it affects your current team, if they're going to make a good fit. So let's say you get someone who's a fit.
Well, hang on, Chris, plan? Before you go there.
Sure.
To find out if they're going to be a fit, is it yourself and others that are doing the interview, or is it? Who's making the call that they have some potential to fit on your team?
Well, I do most of the interviews. I also bring in like Jeffrey Zoss, who's our creative director for Pin Studios. So if it's someone who's looking for an internship or wants to be a second shooter in wedding films, then we bring in that division head, right? Okay. We don't have anybody managing our photo booths at this time, but when we used to have a photo booth manager, we used to bring that person in to help with those interviews too.
So you have
because they have to work together.
Yeah, and you'd have a couple of opinions and or thoughts and extra eyes during that interview process to give a different opinion or a different mindset.
Yep. And we're usually pretty good too. So if someone says, I've worked with Chris Bullock or I've worked with one of these other guys on our team, they're the first persons we ask. Is this someone who would be a fit for us?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, they don't always even get an interview because reputation can precede them. And that's the way it is with everyone. So we try really, really hard to interview the right people and get the right people on board. And if it's something that we're looking for and their skill set matches, fine, because sometimes we can just have coarse personalities.
Yep.
We're in that industry.
That's for sure.
So I think the main piece is, for me anyway, from the interview process, I'm going to be in the first interview with all of them. If I feel like there's going to be a second interview, that's when I bring that person.
Second, okay.
On a second interview.
Excellent. Okay.
And sometimes it's just phone calls or Zoom, but the main thing is be that general manager, make sure that you're looking at and forecasting your needs, both short-term and long-term, and make sure they're going to play ball and be a good teamate, not like Stephon Diggs, right?
There's a Viking reference. Actually, now it's a Buffalo reference.
So second piece, have a plan. When you're hiring people, have a plan for them. Set clear expectations. Let them know what they're going to walk into. And if you've made that decision to hire, I think building out their list of responsibilities, we use Gantt charts. We use some other things that allow us to kind of track what each person is supposed to be doing and gives them a clear, I think, indication and a roadmap to make them successful working for our company. So when they come in, they already have the email set up. If they're on Dropbox or if they're using Adobe Cloud Services, we want to make sure all of those things are done and ready to go. We like to have a buddy set up with them for a week because sometimes we're hiring and Jeff or myself are out on events, so we can't really show them around and this is where the restrooms are. This is where you get paper towels. These are your responsibilities for cleaning up after yourself. And just normal basic stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's always cool to have one person that they get to go to, because if we're hiring a couple people at the same time, you don't want that one person bugging everyone in the office. And it's not intending to be bugging. You understand? It's it's good to have one person to go to. And even little stuff like cleaning supplies and garbage. If someone needs Kleenexes, where are they kept? It's common sense, but every new employee is nervous about their first few days of work and they don't want to ask something stupid. I mean, I remember that fairly regularly.
We're all there.
So just that buddy system. And then I'd say from a management perspective, make sure you're checking in on them. Find out how they're doing. If they have any questions, if, they're not sure. I mean, that happens. I mean, we all have had people that, we thought were going to be rock stars and 2 weeks later, something pops up and it doesn't work. But I think it's important to set face-to-faces or one-to-ones, however you want to call them, and have a list of questions that you go off of. Ours is very substantial. There's probably 200 questions on it, and you're not going to go through every one of those questions in each interview. But the goal is to systematically, ask the right questions for the right time. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, it's asking simple questions like when your anniversary is, for some of the girls in our office, it's what's your favorite candy? So when they have a good week and an attaboy, they come to work and their favorite Bang energy drink is on the counter with their Jujus or Junior Mints or something. Mm-hmm. Just little things, make them feel special, because let's face it, if we're hiring properly, they make our lives easier and they make us money. And that's a big piece. So, but ask them those questions, find out, just little stuff like that. And, when it's their anniversary, send them flowers to their home and send their husband a thank you card or something. I mean, there's tons of little things you can do. And being a good boss is just making sure people feel appreciated, because appreciated employees will do far more than the ones that don't feel appreciated.
For sure.
As time goes by, those questions, you can make them more focused on work and their job and their role with the company and, how they want to see their role expanding. I think it's our job as a leader to develop these people and to be who they want to be, and the platinum rule, treating them how they want to be treated, rewarding them how they want to be rewarded. What makes them tick? I think that's important. And it shows that we care. It's not just someone there, burning hours, making it easier for us. It's someone there that we trust, that we love, that we care about. And, one of our girls, Ashley, when we first hired her, she had talked about how like one of her biggest regrets as a mom was that she's never taken her son to a museum, and he's like 2.5 years old. And I'm like, well, when you're 23 and 2.5 years old, I mean, that's a lot of responsibility, a lot of pressure. So like, don't feel bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
But at our 60-day review, we bought 3 tickets to the Children's Museum in Brookings.
Nice.
A $25 gift card and a $50 gift card to Applebee's, which said, just go, have a day on us, enjoy yourself.
Sure. Nice.
And she starts crying in our office. She's like, no one's ever done anything like this. Well, good. Don't leave. I mean, we love you. We care about you and we want you to be happy.
Yeah.
And so I think those little investments that we make in our employees can pay dividends for decades. And I think that's a big part. Then the next part for me is we're not fortune tellers. We don't know what the future is going to hold. We don't really have any idea of what they want or don't want unless we're asking those questions. So I think it's important for us to realize that sometimes our dreams and our ambitions for our team doesn't always mean it's their dreams or ambitions. And that's a very difficult lesson to learn. I think that sometimes we feel, and Mike Walter has talked about this in the past. He said, I have somebody that comes in, I think they're going to be a great mixer, a great MC, and it doesn't pan out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, It doesn't matter what we think. It matters what they think. And for me, it's about asking the right questions and being invested in their future. And when we've had people come in with Gantt charts, like our whole point for Gantt charts is that we know everybody has these roles, and I want those roles to change. I want them to expand. And someday I want to hire someone to replace, our Ashleys or our Martas or our Zosses. I want to replace them because I want to move them up into new categories where we're doing more things. But they have to understand that, if they want more and if they are looking for different skill sets that they want to advance, like how can we help them cultivate those? And I mean, realistically, it's just communication, keeping an open mind and not having, our goals and wants and needs for that person trump what they want, because that'll never work. Mm-hmm. It's all about making sure that there's common ground. And so if they're looking at developing these skill sets, it's how can we help them? What opportunities, what educational things can we do? Who can we set up them with like a one-to-one or face-to-face outside of the office? Things. And maybe if we can build those things out, find out who maybe internally can help with some of those things. So rigging is a perfect example for us. Chris, our production manager, he's a certified rigger, an up and down rigger. And as we get into more large-scale productions where you're hanging things and you're suspending heavy speakers and other things from the air, like you have to have certified riggers. So Justin, one of our A1s, wants to learn how to do rigging. So we talked to Chris, took him into one of the union training sessions, and now we have 2 riggers. And it all just came from a simple conversation where I'd really like to learn how to do that. Well, we'd really love for you to do that. That would be really beneficial for our team.
Yeah, for sure.
And I too, John, if we're real with ourselves, we might get 5 to 10 years with people in our industry.
That's a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we've had some, like Jason's been with us for 17 years.
Wow.
With us for 12. Louis has been with us for 13. So we've had some really, really good extended stays with people because I feel like we've treated them well. We've treated them fairly. And we treat them like family. And I think that's a big thing.
That helps. Yep. Tremendously.
I just think with the way we find most DJs and most employees, they're at 21 to 26 years of age, single mostly, and looking for something fun to make money on the weekends and be somewhat a center of attention. Mm-hmm. And we're all type A. We're all awesome. Ask us. We'll tell you at any great lengths how great we are. But I think that with, as they get married and have girlfriends and have kids and their full-time opportunities change, there's not always a lot of room for advancement in a multi-op company. And that's sometimes to our detriment too, because we've had people that I think would have made amazing, maybe partners and stuff, but timing wasn't right. Yep. So I think it's all about asking the right questions, making them come back and feel like they're comfortable talking to you, being fair with them, admitting when you're wrong, because we're wrong sometimes too. As husbands and as leaders, can be wrong. It happens. But I think it's just about building that trust with those people that you're not a fortune teller. You're not trying to read their mind. You don't want them to read yours because there's tons of things that will get wrong. So just build that trust with people. And then I think once we get that trust built and we've had that communication and we built out a floor plan, it's all about leveling them up. What are the things that we can do to help push them? And how can we get to that new plateau? I would say when we first started, we did a lot of bar nightlife things, karaoke, and weddings came along about 4 years after we first started. And every single version that we went into, every single vertical required a new version of our company and a new attitude and the way we trained and the way we sold and how we carried ourselves. And now with tours and production and large scale corporate stuff, I mean, it's required a complete change there too. So who we're looking for, the skill sets, it's not just someone who wants to perform. Now it's, what technical skills do they have? Do they understand how to convert HDSDI to HDMI and all of these Cat 6 to, do they know these things? And I think, as we've hired, we've gotten better at hiring. We've gotten better, I think, at picking out the things that are important. But once they get on this team, it's like, how can we get them to level their skill sets? And what can we do to push them? And I think from our team's perspective anyway, we want to kind of be known as pushing the envelope and looking for the next new thing and how we can kind of push those verticals and passion for other areas of our industry that we're not necessarily, or we weren't exploring 3 or 4 years ago, like the tour and the production side. We have a lot of people that are really passionate in our company that really love doing that stuff. So it allows us to be able to pursue those. And without those passions, it doesn't much matter. But with the level up theme, Matthew McConaughey, Mark Farrow, tons of other actors and actresses and people that I respect and admire, they all say we never really arrive. We're always practicing. And like a mountain climber is looking at the pinnacle, right? That peak, they're always looking for the next summit or the next apex. And there's always another opportunity. And just like our team, like I don't want any of our team members to think like you're done growing. I don't want them to think that this is where you're going to be. I'd like for them to be able to be open with us, be honest with us, push their interests, push our interests. We like debate. Sometimes it gets heated, but when you have a bunch of passionate people in the room, all wanting what's best, all thinking that they can help, that's a great thing to have.
Exactly. That could be a nice problem to have.
Right. Even if we're not aligned, that's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, like, Jeff's the boss, I'm the boss. We're going to do what we think is best for our company as a whole. But I love the passion. I love it when people share that stuff. And we have expectations. We have expectations for people that they're going to get better at their jobs, that those Gantt charts that once took 27 minutes to complete are going to get down to 15 so that we can give them extra capacity and raises and responsibilities. And that to me is big. I think making sure we're conscious of how they're growing, the times that they're getting stuff down to, because I want people to do their jobs and go home, be with your family. We all do a lot at work. I know we all talk about work-life balance, but the bottom line is we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to learn from them. We're all going to be better because of them. And again, I don't think you ever stop learning or stop growing. And if we do, then we're probably going to be in different careers.
Exactly.
And then we'll learn something there.
Need to find something else. So we got a couple of minutes left, Chris. Just want to give you the time there.
Just had to get a drink out of my Zorbus cup. So, well, I guess my last tip then, again, family. Treat them like family. This is a photo I'm super, super proud of. This was taken at our Christmas party this last December. And this is our team and their little ones and their significant others. And we try to treat them like family. When they're going through tough times, we want to be there for them. When they're getting married, we want to share their excitement and we want to help them plan their weddings and, give them some maybe tips and tricks that not everyone gets, because that's you treat your family like the best you should.
Yeah.
And I think over the years, we've hired a ton of really great people, and we're blessed that the backgrounds of our people are so different. It's cool to look at this photo. I'm super excited because they don't all look like me, right?
Yeah.
Such a male-dominated industry, and Midwest, I'd say predominantly white male. So to be able to have a bunch of females and other different backgrounds and stuff, that diversity, I think, makes us stronger and makes us better. And it's allowed us to open up our network to a lot of other people. And I just think now, it's like, as that draft day guy, it's, as Kevin Costner, it's just hiring the right people at the right time, I think what makes us different is what makes us better. And people always Mitch talks about the USP. What's your unique selling proposition? I tell people all the time, we're not the same. When people go to bridal shows and say, well, aren't you guys the same? Don't you do the same things? Nope, we do not do the same things. They don't have any Chris's on their team, and they don't have any Jeffs on their team, and they don't have any Johns on their team, right?
For sure.
We're all different, and I think that's something that we celebrate. So for us, it's about, again, prospecting the right short-term fits for our company, the long-term needs of our company, getting to the point where you can hire based on wants and not needs. I think that's a big part of our planning as well. And then just realize that we're all different. We're all the same. We want the same things, but how we get there is a little different. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Good stuff. What a good looking crew you've got there.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
we're super proud of them.
That is awesome. Yeah, a nice group, and looks like some, as you say, the variety. That was one of the big things that when we were a multi, is we had that variety of a mix of a male and female on staff, so we could have a diversity that made us a much stronger company. So that's really cool to see.
Well, yeah. So anyway, those are my 5 tips on hopefully being a better boss.
Excellent. So. Good stuff. Good. A lot of thoughts and ideas in there for those of you who are interested in that realm or into that multi-system. Just kind of take and think, listen and think about a lot of the things Chris kind of spelled out here. He's got some great content there. So Chris, I want to thank you much for being with the chat room. I just checked, or I should say the chill room is still up, DJNTV.com/chill. The guys are hanging out there. We're going to be back in about 2 minutes. I've got Nick Hahn on deck and ready to come up. So, Chris, thanks for being with me tonight.
Thanks, John. Take care, guys.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's show from DJNTV, Disc Jockey News TV. Tonight's show is brought to you by Electra Voice, DJ Event Planner, DJ Trivia, Odyssey Innovative Designs and Cases, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, and the DJNTV Insiders.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
We are back. We are getting towards the end of night 2 here at the DJNTV Virtual DJ Expo. We've had a lot of great content last night and tonight and then tomorrow night. The list to get to the shows. Tonight's going to be a little bit messy because it's actually in 2 parts. But last night, DJNTV.com/one, ONE. Tonight, DJNTV.com/2 will pick you up after the second. It started at the third session. The first two are going to be on a different video because we had a crash of some software. Tomorrow night, DJNTV.com/3 for the third night. Now, Nick Hahn from Promo Only is with me in this session. Good evening, Nick.
How you doing, John?
I am doing well, doing very, very well. It was nice to see that you could sleep in today to get fired up for tonight's show.
I kept telling Brett, I was like, I can't do this. I got to motivate myself to wait until later on to get showered and dressed. I started laughing because it was 5 o'clock. And I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like, oh, that's a little on the late side there. But, you know.
And I work from home. This isn't like the quarantine's affecting me in ways that it's affecting other people. I already work from home, so I'm used to this. So
yeah, to a point. That's really what Lori and I were saying, too, is, beyond the kids being home, it's like another business day.
Right.
It's just the way it is. So tonight, Nick, we were going to be talking about you of course do the Nick's picks for Promo Only. That's available in our pool service, so we can go and download some of your picks each month. Sometimes there's things in there I have never absolutely ever heard of, and sometimes there's like, oh man, I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yes, and that is the entire reason that I started DJing. That's when Pete and Jim told me that I could do Nick's picks. I was like, yes. Because I've always thought that that's the best part of being a DJ for me. Some people like to give people their special moments like weddings. Some people like to give them that dance floor moment. I love it when people come up and ask me, what is that song? Although now with Shazam, they don't do it as much. But also when other people come up and they go, oh my gosh, I've never heard this before. And or I've never heard somebody play this in this type of setting before. It's amazing that you would play that. And that's kind of what I live for. And that's kind of what Nick's Picks is about. And it's kind of what is funny. I was talking to Rachel Lynch on the phone today, and she and I were talking about things that DJs should focus on in their downtime. And for me, the number one thing is library management. And that's because I feel like if DJs remember what got them into this in the first place, which is a love of music, I can only guess. I'm speaking for myself and the people that I surround myself with, but most of the guys got in because they had a serious love for music as some form of fashion. And going through your library and digging through things that you haven't played in a long time, it's amazing, not just for your crowd, but for you. Because when you're stuck in a rut playing some of the same stuff, I don't care if you're doing a wedding or a club, it matters. And having some of that stuff that makes you feel good about playing, while at the same time, reminding your guests or your attendees of something they know as well is awesome. But then also at the same time, having new content, something that makes you happy, something that you're like, you remember that song, Electric Love by Borns that came out like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. That song makes me happy every time I hear it, or Out of My League, Fifth in the Temperature. But there was a point where I'd never heard that song before. I love new music, and I want people to discover it. I don't want people going to Promo Only's charts and playlists or just downloading mainstream radio. I want people to enjoy what they play. And that's what Nick's Picks is about for me. I don't take requests or anything else. So that's what it's happened. That's how it all came about in the first place. A long, drawn-out answer to that. But is the first and foremost thing I'm most passionate about in this business. Second thing is music piracy. But
that's another show.
That first thing, man, I'll talk shop about me. Brian Red and Jay Brannon are two of the guys I hate talking to the most because we'll never get away from each other. We just sit there and geek out on music all day. So anyway,
that's for sure. Yeah. I've been around when you guys have done that a little bit. So, So for people who, they want to find their own versions of those, of that songs and have their own moments like that. How do you find those type of tunes? Where do you look or how do you
First thing I do, I start with my own library, and I truly do try to find stuff that it's really rare that I'll throw away something that I've either purchased or been given or serviced through a record label. Because sometimes I'll come back to an artist and I'll be like, how did I not get this? A prime example is Bruce Springsteen. Like, I hate Bruce Springsteen, but millions of people can't be wrong. You know what I'm saying? So I always come back to it and I'm like, well, maybe I'll get it. Most people tell me, they said, if you saw him live, you would understand. And there's a lot of artists that I have like that you would not understand until you saw them live. So anyway, going back through your library, looking for gems that you used to play, and also, being very smart about it when you're working for events. Like I've mentioned this before on your show, if you're working in a nightclub or an event is going to be, age, whatever it is, I always back it back 10 years. Like if the age group is going to be about 25 years old, I'm going to back it back to when they were about 15 and see if I can find some of those sing-along cuts, especially the stuff that girls like. Because when girls get excited about music, guys get excited about music. And it's not just we're trying to, it has nothing to do with sexual attraction. It has everything to do with, I feel like girls are easier to cut loose. And when girls start cutting loose, guys will start cutting loose. They let down some of their guards. Right. And it makes the party more vibrant and fun. And I think you see that with some of these older songs like Toto's Africa that made this, Toto's Africa that came out. That was such a big, it's a reminiscent hit. It's like the Don't Stop Believing. Before the Sopranos, you heard that song, but nothing like you did after. And it's become this, U.S. staple. And there's plenty of other songs like that. Britt and I were just talking about the other day. For months, I've been playing Waiting on a Star to Fall. Mm-hmm. Waiting on. And now she's hearing it everywhere she's going. And it's like, there seems to be this collective consciousness. And when DJs do that and they contribute to that, they keep some of these old hits alive and subsequently some of these artists actually touring. Boy, so the first place I say is definitely your library. Start looking at the stuff you enjoyed. Stop worrying about necessarily finding stuff for every client. Your tastes are probably something that a lot of your clients probably enjoy. And there's nothing wrong with putting a little bit of your flavor in there. In fact, that goes to the next one. Where do you find new music? New music can be, as long as it's new to you, it can be anything, you know what I mean? So it's not necessarily new music. It's new to you music that you should be looking for. Something that moves you, but something that also allows you to tell a story at your events. And I don't mean to sound all spiritual or anything like that, but that's what you are. You're like you're a storyteller at your events. And I don't care if you're working in a nightclub or if you're working at a wedding. You're creating a moment and you have a start and you have a finish, and how you get there throughout the evening
is your story.
But it's also your brand. We hear people like Brian Bonacci and Joe Bunn and just everybody that's a current industry leader talking about different sales and marketing techniques, and they're all spot on. Like all those things are very important to your business. But the one thing that I don't see a lot of people talking about standing out wise is your programming. And, a lot of people, you got to scratch. Nobody ever left a club or a wedding saying, I wish the DJ had scratched more. But they do leave, wishing the DJ had played the full version of their song, or not that remix, or maybe that remix. I don't know. So if DJ started paying a little bit more attention to, the body language during their programming, and then also what they're particularly programming for these people, they actually might be a little bit surprised how well it would actually work for them, instead of going some predefined, like I've got to play 3 songs like this in a row and then 3 songs like this in a row, and they all have to be requests. It's like you put your own flavor in there. Songs, you're getting suggestions and requests from the bride and groom or the club goers, and you're looking at those requests, and you should be weighing your own musical tastes. And you're like, oh, what would be cool is if I could drop this in here, because if they like this, they'll probably like this. Yep. So it's keeping that same vibe, but also at the same time making sure that you're injecting a little bit of yourself. There are hundreds, probably thousands of DJs. Like there's a guy in Orlando named BMF, another guy named Q Burns Abstract Message. And these guys aren't, if you're in the underground scene and you have been for a long time, you definitely know these names. But these guys get to tour and they get to play all these cool gigs. Like BMF has this amazing night in Orlando called Fat and Jazzy, and he teams up with people like Questlove, and they throw 3-day parties in town. I mean, it's all legit, but it's legit because Greg picks he's a DJ's DJ. People come out to see him for the selections that he picks, and I'm not talking about some weird minimal techno. Tech step drum and bass, stuff that normal. I'm talking about he's bringing out the old folks. He's bringing out people with money. He's bringing in classics where the most mainstream thing is probably like Patrice Rushen, Forget Me Nots. You know what I mean? Like, but he's playing stuff that seems familiar. And even if you don't know it, a lot of people will dance to something that's familiar. I think that's one of the reasons, Pharrell, Robin Thicke case was such a big deal, is because the second you heard that song, you'd never heard it before, but you instantly liked it because it was so catchy. It felt so familiar. It was a big deal. It was a sound. It was a feeling. Yeah. And so anyway, sorry, I feel like I'm rambling. I always do.
No, you're doing fine. You're doing fine. That passion to find those songs. I mean, that's what's coming through with this.
Well, good, because I do believe that if you don't have, I believe it's something that you can do for free that will make your job more enjoyable. Honestly, I feel like that's what's important. One of the reasons I never wanted to be a mobile DJ in the current sense and doing weddings and stuff has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that I just feel like it would kind of rob me of my passion. Like, because it's such a business. You've got such a business, and if you're not mindful enough, it becomes just the business. I love it when I see my friends like Dave Lander in Pennsylvania. That dude's genuinely excited to DJ. It doesn't matter if it's a wedding or if it's a club night, and he does it almost 30 days a month, and he still enjoys it because he enjoys the music. He still enjoys entertaining people. It's not just a business to him, even though he's done it. And I know a lot of other guys like that, and I'm constantly in awe of that attitude, because even DJing at nightclubs, it's just kind of like, there just seems to be this, like, this is the same stuff, got to get up to make the donuts. I don't want to get up to make the donuts. I want something fresh and exciting. And anyway, that's how I do it, keeping fresh with those tracks. And I need that reminder. I feel like other DJs need that reminder. And I wish we had more DJ focused Facebook groups that were, sharing quality content. The best thing that you can get is, people like Brian Red will throw up a post of, what's your favorite 12-inch single? And then there's like 432 answers. And I'm like, save post. And I go back and I look at all these songs that I've never heard before, and I'm just like, oh, this is amazing, so that's a resource that, Facebook, your friends asking for recommendations because you're curious, not necessarily because you're trying to do an event you're not qualified to do, and everybody has their own opinions on that. I don't care if you ask other people, for their playlist suggestions. I just think you're cheating your client and possibly harming your reputation if you're not ready to DJ an event knowledgeably with the music. You know what I'm saying? Just randomly playing songs seems a little dangerous to me.
Yeah, but I could definitely see that. One area that, as you're talking about putting that music, that passion into what you're doing and why you don't do mobile shows. As someone who does mobile shows, that's one of the areas in which I can feel part of my soul dying at times at events, is because that, oh gosh, I'd love to take them on this kind of a journey, but they want this hit, this hit, this hit, this hit. And I'm, you get to that point, it's like, I've got to hit her requests or his requests. And I don't have that luxury to take them on a journey that could be more memorable or more enjoyable, because we've got to end with, the YMCA and You Shook Me All Night Long and then Moni Moni type of thing. Right.
And honestly, that's the conundrum. And if you put yourself in that position with those clients, that's always what you're going to be, that particular person. And so that's okay. There's nothing wrong with doing that, but it's like you said, you feel something kind of dying because something else will work. But the couple has been very adamant about, these are the songs we want. do not deviate. And it's like, yeah, and everybody knows it's the couple's day. But when there's 150 people there and 148 of them would love to hear this one song.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got to be maddening, you know? So, and a lot of what I have to say in regards to this is aimed more at club DJs because they have the more flexibility. But I do encourage mobile DJs to also heed what I'm saying. I mean, I've done mobile gigs.
Oh yeah.
I just don't do weddings, you know. And I've done a few of those, and I mean, always a tip of the hat respect. It's difficult, you know. Like it's way more difficult. Like DJing at Universal City Walk, it's like you've got random people from all over the country, except none of them have paid me a significant amount of money to be there. A third party has. So they don't have any real control over what I do. When you're at a wedding, though, it's just like, oh, my gosh, how do I deal with this? So, yeah, respect to those guys. But so what do you do if a couple asks you, if they say, hey, John, you know, we saw you at Sally Joe's wedding. We really liked what you did. We'd like an R&B heavy wedding, but we're going to let you pick most of the music. Would that be something you'd be like, I'd love to do that?
You know, and it really wouldn't even be something to that effect where they would leave it that wide open. You know, the getting a few requests and such, but where my creativity has come in, and Brian and I've talked about this, and I think you might maybe have been with us at a time, is picking a few signature songs that are the one that when people come to my show, and there's many times they'll be like, oh yeah, John plays that song. And right. Because it's one that you work into certain situations and you set it up, and you can set some of these songs up in a variety of different ways with some of their requests to hit that particular track. And there's where that flavor can come in, and we can work that in. Does it happen at every show? No, but I do have, I think, 5 or 6 songs that are played at most of my shows, excluding high schools, obviously, but most of my weddings. And you'll never find any of those songs on their requests. So the variety, I'm okay with that. It's just when I was in the bar and doing that show, and you're doing it 5 nights a week, you could take them on. Tonight I could take you on a completely different journey than I did last night, and then tomorrow night we're going to go on a completely different journey. I miss those days when you could take a chance, and the worst thing you'd have is the floor starts to clear off a little bit. They go get a drink, and then I have to find something better for the next song to bring them back, or a song after that. So it's a different world than with the mobile things, but there's still ways to work that flavor in.
Any Huey Lewis in the news?
Ironically, no. I do use Huey during cocktail time occasionally, and I have had over the years probably 2 couples that were like Huey fans that were actually interested in and had something requested. But yeah, that's one of those little that only pretty much happens on the other side where I've got the vinyl, the turntable set up, and yeah, it happens only at home. So
hey, that's good though. You know, I mean, you can turn it up as loud as you want at home. So it's funny you mentioned about playing at bars, and you missed that. I do. I mean, we're talking about coronavirus nonstop on social media now.
Yep.
This is a great way, especially for the guys right now that are seriously feeling the pinch. You know, when they get back, when everything gets back to normal and they've got nights out, man, if you've got free nights, you know, you shouldn't be not working if you can help it. You know what I'm saying? You should be making hay while it's daylight, and, you know, picking up those smaller paying gigs. People always, you know, you see in the groups, people downplay these DJs that take $150, $200 gigs. And it's like, but if it's a Tuesday night and it's a small town and, you know, you're bringing that sort of value to the bar, you always have to remember what's the value you're bringing to the client.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great way to flex on doing your sounds. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the only problem is I've seen so many DJs make it purely about them. They're like, oh, I want it to be this house night, and I'm going to do it at a sports bar. And I'm like, it's not going to work. You know what I'm saying? You're not probably going to get what you're looking for. Now, your demographics
are a limiting factor in that situation.
Right. You know, if you're in a college town, maybe. I doubt it, though. But, I mean, seriously, I do believe that's – I can see where you would miss something like that. Me, personally, that's one of the best gigs that I ever had was working in a small little bar where they had no, the restrictions were don't play too loud. You know what I mean? And so I could play.
There was.
They didn't want a dance floor. They wanted me to just keep people in the seats and drinking. And I love that because you do get to kind of show off what your tastes are. And I think that's important. I'm not going to lie. I'm probably not going to sleep very well tonight wondering what those 5 or 6 tracks of yours were. Now that I know it's not what Huey Lewis. Like, can you give me an artist name?
Actually, one of them is a slow song by Gem, is a remake of Amazed by You, is one of them. For the longest time, Todd Rundgren's song, Bang on a Drum All Day, was part of that. That hasn't been for a number of years, but that was quite popular. We were playing Fergalicious before it became a thing back up here. So that was one of them that was played. I'd have to now I get to the point I'd have to look and see exactly which ones we were using, what I was using last summer. But there gets to be a few. When Guardians of the Galaxy came out, dropping part of Mr. Blue Sky.
Yeah. Okay. For the second one, yeah. When the first one came out, what's Redbone's?
Come and Get Your Love.
Yeah, man. And see, that's what I'm talking about. That's another. I love soundtracks. Soundtracks remind you of something.
Yeah.
It's so good. Now you make me want to run in there and get. I actually have the both cassettes for Guardians of the Galaxy. The awesome mixes that they sold. But yeah, man, like those particular songs. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I love when a DJ does that. We saw a Winter Music Conference about 7 years ago, I guess. I went with a bunch of the guys from Pioneer. I forget what the place was, but Flight Facilities was closing the night, and they actually closed. They had done some like long dub edit of Call Me Al, Paul Simon, and oh my God, I loved it so much. And people don't understand. It's like that's what I'm talking about. It's not some sort of weird like eclectic artist, although it can be with the new stuff. But definitely is something as simple as Call Me Out. I mean, that right there is one of those moments. It's like, for me, it's always at a wedding. If I hear December 1963,
yep,
my night's made. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm at an 80s party, You Spin Me Around, Dead or Alive. Like those are the songs that make it for me when I hear them. So every DJ needs to have some of those in their pocket that say, this is John Young, or this is Nick James, or this is so and so, and they should be rotated in and out and used where appropriate. But if you don't have some, you're not constantly refreshing them. I feel like you're doing you're missing out on one of the easiest ways to keep your job personally rewarding. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It was kind of funny when we first started getting into videos and we were getting the DVDs from Promo. And there were some 80s tunes that we were the only ones who really had those and played those quite a bit up here. And then so when the video discs were coming out, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, now everybody's going to be playing the tubes.
Right.
I mean, that was one of them that was a signature song for the longest time, and She's a Beauty. And people would be like, they'd walk into the bar and they'd be hearing that the keyboard there at the beginning of it, and they're like, oh, John's playing tonight. Yeah,
that's cool though. I mean, see, I used to close Filthy with with two things, and one, I'm not going to get into the whole long story, but Bohemian Rhapsody was something I closed with before the Queen movie came out, because it was a lighthearted thing, and also Phenomena from the Muppets. Those were the two things that I used to close out all the time, and I love the fact that people still contact me 4 years later. Saw the Muppets, thought of you. You know what I mean? Like that's a cool thing. And I will say this because I don't want to forget it. Another important resource for DJs, old DJs, pay attention to young DJs. Young DJs pester old DJs. I mean, there's so much gold that you've never heard of that was hot before you even started thinking about that. You've not even begun to scratch the surface on awesome music. In fact, while you're sitting at home on this rest period, you should be hitting up these mobile DJs and asking them, so tell me some of your favorite 70s tracks and 80s tracks. What's your favorite yacht rock music? They're going to give you stuff like Baker Street. they're going to give you stuff like Headhunter by Front 242 or Lords of Acid, I Sit on Acid. Stuff that you would hear at a nightclub that you're never going to hear at a nightclub ever again, or more than likely. And then same thing with the older DJs, though. These young guys, you know, I constantly see older DJs going, how do I find these TikTok tunes? Well, the younger guys can tell you. Go to Spotify, look at the Spotify playlist for TikTok tunes. You know what I mean? Like these things are readily available. I have seen a little bit of my friend Duke, David Sporn. He's a younger cat that tours around and does college events, smaller and big ones. And I mean, the kid's got a passion for music, and he's friends with Tony Fernandez. And there's an age gap between the two of these guys, but there's a mutual love for music, and they're constantly introducing each other to new and interesting things. Now, this is the time to be doing that, making those relationships with the younger DJs.
Exactly. And for those of you out there, you don't have to have fancy software. This is Zoom software. You can just sign up and you can get a 40-minute to run free. You guys could do that and connect with each other. You can spend music back and forth. Yeah, you can use Skype or FaceTime too, but we found that Zoom just works a little bit better than some of the others. And then you don't have to have the same permissions back and forth. So Nick, you mentioned the closing song that you used back in the club, and probably the one that I used again became a signature song during that was the New Radicals, Get What You Give.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
That was
a nice little positive push out the door.
A little positive push out the door, but it would always seem to me to be a song that needed to be a movie soundtrack. Then that it's always like that should have been like the closing credits to a movie.
Is it not?
I don't know if it is or not, but it always maybe it was on a movie that was a B movie and I never heard it. But it always just seemed to be like, this should be, and the way the movement of the song goes along, it just always seemed to be.
Well, see, I mean, that goes kind of back to what I was saying earlier. It's a story. You see that song, you're basically a music director. Yeah. That's what you are. You're sitting there, you see that song in that moment. You see it as a closer for, that type of movie at that. And that's what your job is as a DJ. It's so funny. There's a Hans Zimmer music class, master class that's going on right now. And Britt and I were literally just watching the ad for it. And that's what he said. He's like, it's really easy to sum up my job in one word. It's story. And after NAMM was over, I actually stayed in California, and a friend of mine he's got like, I don't know how many Emmys this guy has, but he was a DP for The Deadliest Catch for like 9 years. And so anyway, the whole time he's giving me a free class on shooting and editing video for a week. I stayed with him and his family.
Nice.
And he was telling me he's a DJ as well. And he was telling me, he was like, bro, just like DJing, it's about the story. Not to sound cheesy, but it's the story. Each part of it is the story. You've got parts that have been given to you, i.e. requests or demands, but you also have the own parts where you can put your own self into it, or I don't know, be more of yourself and be more of your passion live.
I think, sprinkle a little bit more of yourself into your
Yeah, exactly. And people definitely need to be doing more of that. So.
Sounds good. Nick, thank you much. Thank you for coming on tonight and coming on and talking music. It's always fun to do that. And because it was me instead of Brian and Jay, you actually got to say a few things. I've done music shows with those guys, and they are a wealth of knowledge and fun stuff. Sounds good. Gang, we'll be back in about a little over a minute, and wrapping up tonight's show. We've got Rachel Lynch coming in and talking about harmonic mixing after this. Nick, cool. Thanks for being on tonight.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's show from DJNTV, Disc Jockey News TV. Tonight's show is brought to you by A Voice, DJ Event Planner, DJ Trivia, Odyssey Innovative Designs and Cases, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, and the DJNTV Insiders. Hey, there we. Hey, okay, we are just about to the end of night 2. Let me see which camera. I'm gonna look at that camera. Night 2 of the DJNTV. I'm gonna turn that microphone up. Sorry about that. DJNTV Virtual DJ Expo. Tomorrow night we'll be back one more night, and I believe we start at 8 o'clock Eastern. I'm gonna kind of go through. Yes. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, we've got Alan Berg coming on. And Alan Berg's going to be doing a little bit longer session and talking about websites and marketing and such for the wedding DJs. If you're a wedding DJ, 8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night, you want to be here, which will be djntv.com/3, THREE. Then Lou Paris is going to be coming back. You heard him tonight with Umang earlier. He's going to be coming back and talking a little bit about the business side of things. Mitch Taylor's going to be there. Jordan Marshall's going to be up tomorrow night. MJ's going to be coming in doing doing a little session for us. Then we got Jim Cerrone, Donnie Lewis, and Ron Ruth. We got a full slate going from 8 o'clock Eastern to 12:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow night. And again, djntv.com/3. Hopefully the internet will hold up tomorrow night so we don't have 2 videos like we do tonight, which is djntv.com/2. So we've got one left. We've got Rachel Lynch, DJ Rachel Lynch. A lot of you know her. She is on social media doing a lot of great videos. She's done a lot of great videos for us on the channel in the virtual DJ world. And tonight, Rachel's going to be digging in just a little bit on harmonic mixing and kind of explaining some of that and giving you some demonstrations. So Rachel Lynch will be up next. Here we go.
Hi friends, it's DJ Rachel, and today we're bringing you a very special video. I get asked a lot by DJs on how they can tighten up their mixes. So today I'm going to discuss briefly harmonic mixing within Virtual DJ 2020. Learning how to mix and key will level up those blends and greatly enhance the listener experience. Key matching matters because it makes songs sound like they belong together. Ever have someone walk up to a piano and just kind of mash a bunch of random keys down on it, and you have that tone that just hits you the wrong way and just doesn't sound good, or even can start irritating your ears? Well, that's what this is about. Harmonic mixing ensures that the tones that you are layering over each other are compatible and palatable to the ear. Now, there are a lot of videos out on YouTube about harmonic mixing, the music theory behind it, and the Camelot system. That is not what this video is about. Now, I highly recommend taking some time to dive into this theory. It's very interesting and great to know. But today, I just want to discuss how we can harmonic mix easily within Virtual DJ 2020, the tools that they have available, and why you should care about mixing in key. Some of you may be intimidated by this feature, but Virtual DJ 2020 has made harmonic mixing easy and accessible for any DJ who's interested in using it. We're going to take a quick look at some of these features, and then I'm going to do some live demos. Now, with these demos, I'm going to do some where I am using the harmonic mixing feature and some where I am not. And you're absolutely going to be able to hear the difference in the blends and the quality of the tone with those blends. Lastly, I'm going to show how harmonic mixing can revive stale sets and maintain energy on the by allowing you to have better remix points. So without further ado, let's take a look at the harmonic mixing feature in Virtual DJ. So wait, one more thing. I guess I lied. Before we dive in, I want to do one little disclaimer. Now, I am not saying that DJs should be mixing in key all the time. In fact, if all we did was mix in key, our sets would be really bland and really boring. What I'm saying is a DJ should be mindful of the 2 tracks that they're playing, and if it sounds, again, like someone is bashing keys on a piano, then maybe we need to make an adjustment, select a different track, or just be more mindful of the types of songs that we're putting together. Now, a DJ's job is to read the crowd and play the right song at the right moment. And sometimes mixing in key can alter those decisions. So by all means, go with your gut, go with your passion, do what feels right in the moment. But I do think DJs should still be aware of mixing in key and what they're producing when they layer 2 tracks over one another. So with that said, now let's dive in. The first step to mixing in key is being able to see the key signature of the tracks in your database. So to view this for each song in Virtual DJ, all you have to do is right-click on the tag header row and simply enable the key field. Once this has been enabled, you can then organize all of your tracks by their key by simply clicking that column. Virtual DJ takes the guesswork out of harmonic mixing by automatically scanning each track for its key signature upon loading it into the deck, or by right-clicking and analyzing for BPM, etc. What's great is Virtual DJ gives you everything at a glance to tell you which tracks will sound great together and allows you to easily switch between the traditional letter or Camelot scale by simply clicking the button in the information display. Now, what makes harmonic mixing so easy in Virtual DJ is that it not only shows you the key signature of the tunes, but it also visually shows you which songs are compatible with the ones playing in either of your decks. Now, you're probably asking, how do I know that the software is telling me that the songs in the browser are going to work with the ones in the decks? So Virtual DJ has made it super simple by providing these visible check marks to let you know that a song is in fact harmonically compatible with the ones you have currently playing. Virtual DJ even takes this one step further by allowing you to see the key difference. Now, this field displays the difference in semitones based on the active deck that's playing. If the key matches or is off by one semitone to the current track, on the master deck, a check mark will appear besides the key value to indicate that it is safe to mix harmonically. Furthermore, a bright check will indicate it's an exact match, while a darker check will let you know that it is off by one semitone but is still safe to mix. As you can see, you have a ton of visual cues to make sure that you are selecting harmonically appropriate tracks. Now, what's pretty cool is Virtual DJ has the ability to harmonic mix on its own. So if this is something you don't want to be bothered with, all you have to do is activate the auto match key. Now, to do this, we can click right here and make sure that we have auto match key selected. We're also able to do that from this drop down menu up here. Now, to deactivate it, we can do the same thing, just click it and you're back to normal. Now, the software is intelligent enough where it will not make dramatic shifts in tone. It's only going to adjust up to one semitone on the opposing deck when a track is loaded. If it has a greater difference than one semitone, it will leave the track completely unaffected. Now, just in case anybody was curious, I personally do not have auto match key selected. I like to do this on my own manually more often because I like to have it compatible during the blend, but then once I'm at a part where I can kind of transition away from that blend, I then want to put the track back to the original key if I can. As a DJ, I'm able to pick up on these subtle differences, and I always like to hear the original track where possible. Virtual DJ is also able to give you real-time feedback of what keys are compatible. So as I drag up these tracks, you're going to see these key recommendations change. So it's smart enough to know and adapt what will work while you're live in the mix. It's going to constantly make relevant recommendations. Now that we saw where to find the auto match key and how to use the harmonic mixing feature in Virtual DJ, let's take a look at some mixing examples where I will use the auto match key feature and some where I won't. Try to really listen and see if your ear can pick up on these differences. In this example, we're going to be looking at The Middle by Zed and Closer by the Chainsmokers, both very popular songs. Now, I know